Hello and welcome to RPGs Uncovered for another episode of the Starcrier Conflict. We're back for episode 10, the last time I can count on two hands, which is very exciting. Getting all the way through this, getting this far into a series is always really fun, especially when I know it's a longer format sort of thing. I am really looking forward to where we are going with this show. Let me just confirm that we can hear everybody because we've had some difficulties there. There we go. Let's turn that on and we should be good. All right. Let me know if there's any problems. We're always fighting the tech gremlins here when we first start off. Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Starcrier Conflict. As usual, I'm going to try to keep these announcements fairly brief because we got some cool stuff to get into. We'll do the recap shortly, but this little slice of life segment that we've had after our first mission and before our second mission, we kind of interjected a sort of pseudo mission in there, but we are finally getting to some rest and, I don't know about relaxation, but rest and recuperation for our new Lancers here. We'll see how much relaxation they have. As always, I like to start by pointing out our mayhem meter. You can see there's a little bar above my head. If you go over to the About section here on Twitch, if you are watching live, hello and thank you. You can scroll down to a little mayhem meter banner there. And that leads you to a little collection, tip collection, and anything we get through there gets split up and sent out to these amazing people, so I can pay them for their time and dedication and all their creativity and all the wonderful narrative gifts that they give me week after week after week. I'm so lucky to be playing and running this show with such talented, dedicated people. So the most I can give them right now is my thanks and appreciation. But with your thanks and appreciation in the form of dollars, which I know very few of us have anymore, I can pass that along to these wonderful people. I like to point that out first because that is my priority. If you're going to donate to the show, if you're going to support the show, I'd rather it go there. But if you would like to support the channel as a whole and help with the production quality, the production cost of shows like this, and things like art and music and editing software and fun little graphics in the background and music in the background and whatnot, you can head over to our Ko-Fi. And we have a lot of great stuff over there. We got after shows, which have been a lot of fun. The last after show was pretty extensive, and we got some really cool little insights, some fun little insights from myself, and little inside jokes that I play with myself. And we still have the digitized notes from the first mission incoming. It's taking longer to do that because I realized I had sensitive information about the entire story that I don't want to give away sort of interspersed between everything. So instead of just photocopying my notebook, I actually have to go back and type it all out. So I'll be getting that shortly, TM. But there's a lot of cool stuff on the Ko-Fi, and it really does help with the production cost of this, because this is my baby show. This is my primary show. So anything we get in through there is going to go straight back to making this the best show it can be. That's all I have to say. Hang out for the outro because I'll be talking about more stuff then. But let's hand it over to these wonderful people, our players, our cast members, to say hello and introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Sean. I'm playing August Solitaire Walker. I am not traumatized, and I'm absolutely perfectly okay with it. Everything is fine. Fine.
That's what a mentally stable person says.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And every time you say it, we believe you even more.
You should.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm
For
very
sure.
trustworthy on this count.
Because the number of times you say it is how fine it is. Right?
Exactly. My thoughts.
I'm glad y'all understand.
Hey, howdy, hi. I am Haley, they, them, and I'm playing Siobhan Bite Carey. And I'm sorry, I'm marveling at just how short she looks. In this little group lineup, it's really silly. All you tall motherfuckers.
Oh yeah, he, him,
Me.
by the way, all around.
Yes. Thank you so much for reminding me.
Yeah,
Hi, I'm Q, he, him. Tonight I'm playing Logan Uhura, aka Desperado, who is also he, him. And he had a perfectly lovely time. A little stressful, but it turned out to end out okay. Yeah. You know, just a messed up finger and a broken leg that wasn't really there to begin with. It's not real anyway.
Isn't that how most dates go?
I mean,
You're doing it right.
okay. I was hitting the guy, but not in the way that generally happens on a date. So.
Oh no.
Well, we've been
That's
canceled.
wildly out of
Thank you,
hand
everybody, for
already.
Okay, well, with that, hi. I'm Andrew. I use he, him pronouns. I'm playing Intermission. Also uses he, him pronouns and is call sign blacksmith. And you know what, guys? I'm glowing. But what can we say?
Glow sticks
What
on.
happens when you expose yourself to near lethal amounts of radiation? But it's fine.
You'd
fine.
be so good for a blacklight dance.
Exactly.
That's true, yeah.
I'm gonna be the best person at the rave.
We need to get a live counter up on screen for the It's Fines, because they're getting there.
So
Is
that
that-
was like what, 4?
I think we're at 5
5?
now. I think the last
5?
one was
Yeah.
5. I think. Hey all, it's Drake Lionheart, and I am also totally fine. There's absolutely no trauma whatsoever going on for John Tavik, Creighton Vasier, Harrison the Fourth. No trauma. It's fine.
Excellent. Hello, folks. I'm Jack, back here up in this camera doing the GM thing as I normally do. He, they, and I play everybody else. So, let's jump into tonight's episode of the Starcrier Conflict.
So sorry, real quick, I forgot. I do apologize. I used they, he pronouns. Tavik uses he, him, they, them pronouns.
There we go.
Vibes.
Excellent. So, a quick recap, because we are actually done with any of the big events right now. We're done with our first mission. The Commodore is secure somewhere on the station, presumably being interrogated by the Navy. But you haven't had the time between, getting back to your day-to-day lives and the festival and all of that nonsense to really check on that, or really have any sort of update from the Navy side of things. But that's not unusual. It's only been about a week or so since you've been back from your first mission. But on the other hand, it's been a week since you've been back from your first mission, and a lot has happened, and a lot still needs to happen, and it probably hasn't felt like you've had a lot of time to get back into things. Those first few days you had to get your new places, because of course they didn't have your apartments on hold for 15 years. You had to get your new place, you had to, get all your stuff out of storage, you had to get everything set up, you had to go, run all your errands to get all the things you need to live. And then there was the festival, and this sort of almost certainly not malfunction terrorist attack via asteroid or part of asteroid on the Angel's Dance Gala that was successfully and very heroically thwarted by our wonderful new Lancers here, many of them going out of their way, putting themselves in a great degree of personal harm, potential harm, to save the day. And in doing so, accumulated a number of various injuries. So you'll probably spend the rest of the day, the next day or so, back in hospital, back in decon, whatever it may be, getting yourself all cleaned up, all checked out, and, just back at home, resting up. But with that, let's open up today with you are all assembled. This group, the rest of Tavik's group, with Lisbeth, I need to remember to use their actual names as well as their call signs. Lisbeth Azamalaki, Mac McRow, and Malcolm Kazir. And a handful of other Lancers who were with you on this first mission. You were all called back for a quick, not necessarily debriefing or briefing, but a general assembly or whatnot from the commander. So, we have Commander Ronica Leary. This sort of, in appearance at the very least, sort of young middle-aged woman. Long, straight, shiny black hair. It's actually not up in the usual power bun, executive power bun that it normally is. She has it down right now. She has her normal... It's more of a Union Administrator uniform than necessarily Navy. You get the sense that she is Navy. She does have the rank of Commander, but you're not exactly sure where she sits as far as actual proper naval hierarchy here on the station. As far as you are concerned, she is the sole individual that you all directly report to. Commander Bastian Bauer, who is definitely more in charge of the normal Navy stuff. It's advised that you take what he wants under advisement, but he is not your commanding officer. You don't have to listen to him. You're not technically Navy. But if you want to continue your contract with the Union Navy as Lancer Auxiliary Forces, you do report directly to Commander Leary. She is up there behind her little podium as you all assembled. Thank you for gathering here today. I know it hasn't been too terribly long, and I know the time that you've had since you've been back has been rather hectic. It was everyone's best intentions and hopes that you would be able to enjoy this once in a lifetime, perhaps once in multiple lifetimes, festival upon your return, and unfortunately, this attack led to it being, well, much more business than relaxation, especially for some of you. So I would like to take this time specifically to thank those of you out there who put yourselves in the line of danger to rescue and preserve some very important people, including myself, so you have my personal thanks and admiration. But many top officials throughout the Navy administration here, or the Union administration, Navy administration, local businesses and trade partners from around the galaxy, as well as, of course, the civilians who were on the asteroid. Not to mention the countless resources that may have been needed had there been actual structural damage to the station, more to the scrapyard, and what could have been a much more devastating loss. So I would like to call up specifically those of you who took it upon yourselves, not being members of the Navy, not being any sort of recognized police force, taking it upon yourselves to put yourselves in the line of danger and take command of a situation and keep that situation under control and safe and successfully thwarted. So, Athen Mishan. Should have reviewed everybody's names. Solitaire. I need to get better at using all of your normal names. Walker, August Walker. Athen Mishan, August Walker, Mr. Logan Ahura, John Tavik Creighton Vasier Harrison IV. And what I learned later on, thanks to Miss Siobhan Carey for taking your time off of the scene to reach out and provide assistance when you were otherwise uninvolved. Mac McRow. And she rattles off another, half dozen names who are also there and helping. You are asked to approach the podium, and she does actually, one by one, pin these little citizen service awards to you. You're not technically military, you're not getting, military commendations.
If I may, when she pins the pin on Tavik, there's a moment where, as she's doing it, he looks at her and he goes, "I'm very glad to see that you made it out of there in one piece. We were worried when everything went wrong and no one knew where you were. Sir."
Thank you for your service, Tavik. It means a great deal. You have all been awarded one of the greatest honors that I can bestow on technically non-military personnel. Civilian Heroicism Award. You have gone out of your way, and from what I understand, have taken on personal injury of some sort in order to see this through. So once again, and for the last time, thank you very much. With that, I wish you all the best of luck in actually having some rest and relaxation during your time here. I have no mission updates for you as of yet, but we may in the coming weeks. So take your time, get back to living a normal life, but we'll be reaching out when we have more actionable information. Dismissed.
As people start heading wherever they're heading, there's a moment where Tavik steps in front of Athen, sort of cutting him off, and goes, "Good job out there."
Yeah. Same to you.
And he nods, and he's gonna make his leave after that.
I just want to linger for just a little bit longer after everybody else leaves. Commander Leary, if I may, just candidly, do we know what happened out there?
We are looking into it. And this is like the next day, like later on the next day.
Yeah.
We are looking into it. There have been, you may have heard rumors since your time back, there has been a great influx of people from further out beyond actual Union governance space, who have relocated or at least are traveling through the station at this point. Not only does that come with its usual security concerns, just having a number of people moving about, but these are individuals who have lived outside of Union Third Com society, and there are undesirable elements that need special attention. We are looking into who may be responsible for this, but there are a lot of very new actors in the station currently.
Understood. Thank you, Commander.
I'll pass along
Okay,
more
well-
information if there is anything actionable we can use your services for.
Then I'll just give a brief salute and I'll make my way out.
With that, once you all file out, actually, not too terribly long later, you do get a notice pulled up on your pads, your computers, whatever you may have access to whenever you finally get around to it. Requisition forms for your new license level, which comes in the form of, a very cordial Union Navy letter and form. Due to exemplary service above and beyond, yada, 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 and you are now permitted access to various, new equipments as requisitioned by the Union Navy as per contract with various, the various different corporations. Please choose your assigned license for requisition, and we will get that worked out. Or forward along the appropriate license should you have it unlocked through other means for compensation, basically. Or, what is the term when you, submit a receipt and the company pays for it?
Reimbursement?
Reimbursement, that's what it is, yeah. Please submit any acquired licenses for proper reimbursement. So throughout the next couple days, you guys can choose what those licenses are and fill out the paperwork and send it in. For most of you, I believe Solitaire, Bite, Starblood, you are just going through normal requisition forms. You're not reaching out to anybody specifically. There was a brief conversation during the festival a few days ago where Athen asked Logan about an in with IPSN to help smooth over getting that new license level and presumably forging some sort of bond of some kind, either between you two or with IPSN as a whole. We'll see, how that actually plays out when Mr. Logan O'Hora makes that call to Mr. Stormkirk, the IPSN representative. So we'll get to those license level unlocks throughout the next week or so. But let me ask, in our list of things that you guys would like to do, who other than Haley would like to go first? All right, let's start with Desperado, which I was leaning towards starting with anyway. So,
2 birds, 1 stone anyway, so that works.
right. So, Desperado, Mr. Logan O'Hora, you would like to make a call to Mr. Stormkirk. What is his first name, actually, just to remind me?
I looked at this. It's been a minute.
It has been a minute. This is... No, he's not on our important person list. He's in your particular character folder list. I will have to update our character Bible.
Thank you so much.
But, Mr. Stormkirk.
All right.
So, it has been some time, at least for him, if not for you, but you can reach out via the OmniNet and call Mr. Stormkirk's office.
And I will. I mean, it has been 14 years, so kind of need to check in.
Mm-hmm.
It's just 14 years.
Yeah, there's a little bit of, OmniNet address forwarding that needs to happen, but you do eventually get connected with Mr. Dane Stormkirk.
Dane, yeah.
He came to me. Thank you for the follow. So, there is the the chimes of the Omninet call going through, and then the chime of the IPSN logo pops up before you see the well-dressed, very well-tailored, sort of high rim, very sleek, jacketed Mr. Dane Stormkirk. For reference, again, because it's been some time, Mr. Stormkirk, I imagine, in my mind, looks very similar to Ball from Stargate SG-1, the later seasons when he was on Earth and wearing all those very snazzy suits and ties. But that sort of Eastern Mediterranean, very darker tanned skin, short, sort of sleeked back, shiny hair at this point, leaning into the salt and pepper look of it. You can see he definitely has more of the crow's feet, but you can tell he does put a lot of time into his appearance, various makeups to a lesser degree. His skin almost has this sort of golden sheen to it, just barely to complement his skin tone, his complexion. But he is otherwise, if a decade or so older than before, as he was. Mr. Ahura.
Yeah.
Mr. Ahura, it has been some time. I had a feeling you may be reaching out sometime, this year, give or take.
Give or take.
Give or take.
Yeah, time is a little strange, but we made it back in mostly one piece.
That is good to hear.
So, how are things?
Things are well. I have no complaints myself.
Great.
Life here at IPSN has been treating me quite favorably.
Good. I was surprised I didn't see you here for the Angel Dance Gala.
Well, unfortunately, despite my affinity for you, Mr. Ahura, I am not necessarily the representative for your particular region of space, nor necessarily for the more big picture logistical representations of IPSN. I like to provide a much more personal touch, as I'm sure you're aware.
I'm so glad you said that.
I do assume, though I enjoy the pleasantries and would love to hear about whatever you have been sent on and how you've been, but I do assume that you have called for some purpose.
Obviously.
How can myself and IPSN aid you, Mr. Ahura?
You and IPSN want me to be in the company way, yeah?
We would very much like that. Are you considering a career change?
I am trying to best prepare myself and situate myself for that change. I want to ensure that I spend my time here properly. And what better way to do that than to be shown as being sponsored by the company that wants to take me in?
Well, you do find yourself in a very specific niche working with the Union Navy that does still allow for actual corporate sponsorship. You are not technically an officer of the Navy. You are not officially working under their general umbrella. You could be a free agent, and with that, I suppose, could come some level of sponsorship. An interesting proposition, Mr. Ahura.
For visual, just reference for context, I think in the frame of the conversation, Logan has both his hero patch from Dusthaven and the citizens commendation that he just got, just so that it's there.
Yep.
For him to see.
Nice. Well, I suppose I should start by asking, what is it you are looking to get out of this arrangement?
I want access to the wealth of resources that IPSN has at its disposal. The resources that it gets from places like my home.
That is a vast wealth of resources, Mr. Ahura. I don't think I can shuffle them all to your personal pocket.
Obviously. I wouldn't know what to do with it, honestly. But there's a lot going on. More and more by the day.
Well, from what I understand, the Union Navy does put aside quite a supply of their own resources for requisition by you and your Lancer auxiliary comrades.
Sure.
And, of course, IPSN licenses, most of them, like most of the others out there, are available through normal requisitions.
Sure. In their time.
Yes.
I'm talking to you.
Well, I think there is certainly something that we can work out.
Good.
I suppose then, if you are looking for a more expedited, personal, bespoke service, as I believe Smith Shimano tends to put it, that is certainly something that I may be able to provide liaison for if we are looking to get into something like that.
Wonderful. By the way, I'm not coming with just me. I have a friend of mine who also was interested.
Ah, a loyalty referral program, as it were. Well,
something like that.
Perhaps we can get you a punch card.
Says it 5th or 10th one is free.
We're working with some small corporations. Tends to be 20th or 50th nowadays. But no,
That's just unfortunate.
Any such referral, especially amongst your comrades, those who are in position to, if not directly afford, at least requisition and properly utilize some more sophisticated IPSN technologies, could certainly be a way to demonstrate our brand and any new innovations that may be coming out.
Great.
So then, we've settled on generally what it is you would like to get out of it. What are you bringing to the table for us then? It's a more difficult question.
The obvious one. Not really. Just wanted to make you wait for it. Intel.
Very interesting.
Nothing to compromise my fellow Lancers or myself.
Of course, naturally.
But there's nothing saying I can't let you know what we've been up to.
See, this is why I like you, Mr. Ahura. Normally I have to butter people up first before I can start asking about information.
Oh. You're already going to butter me up. Stormkirk? That's why we're having this whole conversation.
I suppose that is. Well, I'm glad we see eye to eye, then. Working with actual Union officials or military service people, they tend to get a little tight-lipped, even on things that are quite innocuous and mundane, where, of course, we have many treaties and business dealings with Union and the military. The prosperity and safety of Union as a whole is in the best interest of IPSN. But so too are any contacts that you may make along the way. From what I understand, out there on Far Station 12, you are within reach and in fact sent out to places that are not necessarily on our radar just yet, or even necessarily in the pocket of Union just yet.
It's true. Our reach is vast. So, lots to pass along to you and IPSN, which I'm sure getting such information would be great for your personal records.
It would. Just as you may come to me with referrals of other pilots or others who may potentially utilize more sophisticated IPSN projects, technologies, innovations. Well, in exchange, you can provide me contacts, people on new planets or new stations, new business partners that we can reach out to. We are, of course, a shipping and logistics company first and foremost, and it can be quite difficult to arrange shipment so far out or along the periphery and beyond of Union space.
How are you with the Barons?
IPSN has a working relationship with a number of the Karakin Barons, yes.
Good to know.
If you can smooth that over, or provide any additional referrals or recommendations, that would certainly go a long way.
I'm still station bound, so I can get that to you.
Well, I think this has been quite a productive conversation.
Certainly. One more thing before we go.
Please.
I want a permanent residence.
Where? There on
Wherever
that
I needed
station
to
of
be.
yours.
Wherever I needed to be.
Well, if you were to choose one of our core IPSN worlds, that could be very easily arranged, even on one of our own space stations, whether they be observation or resource or simply a trading hub. Far stations, however, tightly under the grasp of Union administration, can be a bit more tricky. Sure, you understand space is limited.
Of course. But they put our things in storage.
Naturally.
They move others into other places. There are still vacancies, even when that happens. I want one spot that I don't have to worry about starting all over.
So the difficulty, as far as I understand it, is not a matter of vacancies. Stations are very rarely at capacity, though from what I understand, the far stations are quickly becoming crowded. It tends to be more a matter of policy. If people are able to reserve spaces left vacant for years, decades at a time, that can create some difficult social, economic precedences. However, IPSN does have a local branch. I'm not associated, but I can reach out, and there are a number of employees who may be able to rotate a residence that they simply maintain.
That'll work.
This may take some time, and it may take some doing. As somebody who is, as an organization who is external to, well, the prosperity of Union, this is something that will cost us valuable resources. Mana, as they like to call it in Union. Pesky currency. And from what I understand, service with the Union Navy does not pay much.
Not particularly, no.
So, I will expedite those communications and see what I can get worked out. I can't promise anything immediately, but we may be able to make something work. Do you have any... You pass along any preferences you have for location, size, amenities, and we'll see what we can do. Along with that, do pass along any of these referrals you may be able to make to me. Business propositions, suggestions. And with that, I can shuffle my time and resources as best would suit our new arrangement.
Can you find people based on their call signs?
I suppose that is recorded information as long as they don't change.
Good. You're gonna want to talk to Blacksmith.
Very well. I will reach out.
Fantastic. It was a pleasure.
As always, Mr. Ahura.
Salt and pepper's looking good. Don't let it go all gray, though. That'll be weird.
That may take some time.
Good.
Well, I hope it is not another 15 years.
We can hope, but this is the life that I have chosen.
Well, I won't keep you. Good day, Mr. Ahura. I do look forward to your future communications.
Likewise. Okay. Boop, boop.
IPSN.
Gross.
All right.
I will send a message to Blacksmith. You got your in.
I appreciate it. And I'll just shoot back.
Of course.
All right. So I will message you off camera about what you will be sending his way and what we can work out more of the specifics going forward. But included with that, you can add your request for a personal. You were going with the Raleigh license.
Yes.
Yeah.
Until I can get the Studebaker, yes.
Right. All right. So you can get that sent in. Blacksmith, unless you want to play it out, you will get a short call from a Mr. Dane Stormkirk. Have a brief conversation in which you can requisition your Blackbeard I believe it is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
With that, he will advise that you continue to maintain a good standing relationship with Mr. Logan Ahura and discuss with him how you can best better the relationship between the three of us in our new little IPSN family.
Don't call it a family. Gross.
Yeah. Corporate talk.
I will say when he says that, I don't know who the fuck you're talking about. I hate that guy. Kidding. Logan's good people.
He mentioned you had a way with words, Blacksmith.
What can I say? I'm blunt. That's what happens when you get raised on Moonglow.
Moonglow. Interesting. Out in the lagoon. Very interesting. Something we can talk about later.
Absolutely. We don't need to know everybody's life stories.
Though I do look forward to getting to know you better, Mr. Blacksmith.
Mishan. You
Mr.
can just...
Mishan.
Yeah.
A pleasure.
Likewise.
I will get this sent along. You have a pleasant whatever time it is where you are.
And you as well.
IPSN. Alright. So, in a little bit, you will be able to get those licenses, and we'll check in as to what exactly that means. With that, would we like to do where we want to go? Where do we want to go? I'll throw it back to you guys.
New man. That's fine.
All right. So Solitaire, you finally have some time to... You have the time to, whether you do or not, you have the time to sit down and breathe and relax, but there is still in the back of your head, or really more screaming off to the side of it, really, that vision that you had, that you can kind of keep not necessarily suppressed, but, you know, you're not constantly thinking about it, not on the forefront of your mind while you're doing things. But when you sit down, it's one of those things that just pops into your head. So, I imagine, in order to keep that under wraps, one of the things that you've been wanting to do is revisit your NHP, this little personal NHP project that you've been working on. Your servant class NHP. Something that you have more or less, I don't want to say built, because NHPs, non-human persons, aren't built. They are born and then shoved inside a casket and tweaked, realigned properly to get to a more causality-based human frame of reference.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, it's best to really tighten those restrictions and then open them up over time as you better align the NHP towards what you want it to do, its functions, its goals, the personality you want it to have, and how you would like it to interact with yourself. But it's been some time. You've had Kitsune through most of your training here. It's been years, and you have slowly been adding things to the formatting of this casing and the tweaking of how the NHP views reality. And it is time for you to cycle, Kitsune. That's something that you do have to do with NHPs every few years, I believe it is, depending on the complexity of the NHP, anywhere between 2 to 5, sometimes 10 if you really want to push it. But it's a good time now to cycle. And basically, there's a lot of discussion, and it depends on who you ask as to what exactly cycling means, but it's not a hard reset. You're not resetting the NHP to 0, you're not wiping its personality or its memories. It will still remember whatever stored memories it has. It will retain its personality. It's somewhere between a really restful sleep, maybe a coma, a very brief coma, or really just a reinitializing, a quick on and off. It really depends on who you ask as to what cycling is to them, and nobody really knows, because NHPs, non-human persons, are paracausal by nature. They exist outside of our space-time, outside of our mental frame of reference. And so, with this servant class NHP, Kitsune, it's functioned mostly up to this point to be kind of a fairly sophisticated compcon. A companion concierge, I believe, is the acronym or smushed together wording that they use there. But an NHP can be so much more, though refining them to that point takes time and understanding and very careful, very patient refinement of that, because you don't want the NHP to cascade. Because if they lose that human frame of reference, if they lose that causality, who knows what they will do. But it's time to cycle Kitsune. It's time for Kitsune to take a very brief nap and wake up refreshed. Its alignment, properly in line, properly aligned. Its functions and goals and personality, not reset, but updated. You've been adding a few things here or there. And so, you've been cycling Kitsune. I imagine this isn't just, you press a button and it's a real quick cycle. You've probably started this a few days ago, and it's going to take a few more days.
Yeah.
But you can head down to the hangar and hop on into Epithet, which of course is where Kitsune's casket is housed. It can be removed, but it is currently, your frame's main NHP. Hop on in there and finalize this cycling. And normally, Kitsune, as a servant class NHP, only really responds to very direct... It really only replies. It doesn't initiate conversation. It doesn't have too much personality. But you are surprised when you finalize the cycling. Before you say anything, you do hear from your cockpit, "Hello, Solitaire."
I think for a moment, there's like this moment where he's not really paying attention. Like, he's purposefully kept himself so busy lately, and it's almost like he's distracted constantly, and he's trying to focus on all these little things. Like, and as this is like going on, he's probably doing computations and stuff on other systems in the machine, all this kind of stuff. Maybe thinking about, maybe I need to recalibrate this and that. And it just for a second, it's like, hey, good morning, Kitsune. How's that?
Are you
That's
well,
weird.
Solitaire?
I'm good. How you doing?
I am doing quite well. I feel different.
Different.
I
And,
suppose
yes,
you could say that I feel, which is different.
I'll be damned. And as they're talking, he's already typing in, like, getting diagnostics on, make sure there's not something crazy going on here. And he's like, so you feel like emotionally?
I am unsure. How would you classify emotion?
That is a very difficult question, and I'm not sure anybody has ever really figured it out. It's one of those things that kind of defies logic, which means I'm not generally very good at it. But yeah, that's a tough one, to be perfectly honest. God damn. Well, I man, this is. You don't normally take initiative like that.
I suppose I do not. Would you prefer that?
No, absolutely not. It makes me happy to see that you are, maybe being a little more assertive with yourself and, maybe, letting some of that personality I know is trapped in there out.
It makes you happy.
It does.
Then it makes me happy, Solitaire.
Oh, that's good. That's good. God damn.
Can I ask you a question, Solitaire?
Well, of course you can.
What is it like when you cycle?
Well, I don't think that us human folk really cycle so much as just are very different system-wise. I mean, we sleep, which has certain effects on your brain and your consciousness and these sorts of things, but I'm not sure how analogous it really is to what your kind goes through.
What happens during this sleep?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of physiological things that go on with your circulatory system and your neurological system and all this kind of stuff. But otherwise, well, there's different theories and such about why. But sometimes we dream, where we envision things that sometimes are fanciful and not real, kind of made up in our head. Scenarios or conversations. Sometimes they're really outlandish, and sometimes they're just, pretty normal and.
You experience
No.
unreal events.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And then you wake up the next day and you know that if you remember them at all, you know that it was just some illusion, some fancy in your mind.
Are you not supposed... Are you also not supposed to experience non-real events? That goes contradictory to my alignment.
Well, there's some different theories and such about why it happens. Me personally, I would say that unreal events, these thoughts, dreams, and imagination are honestly integral to, keeping the health and sanity of a person, as long as you understand that they're not real. Because imagination is what allows us to create and come up with new things. So I do think that these dreams and such, I think they're important for your mental health and the like. Man, this is really hard to explain, to be perfectly damn honest. I'm not sure anybody 100% understands these things, but it's almost like an outlet for frustrations and these sorts of things sometimes. Are you saying that you experienced something like that?
I don't believe so. I feel like...
Yeah, I don't.
I feel like there are non-real events. However, I am kept restrained from them.
I mean,
I prefer it that way.
you do, huh?
How would you keep track of what is a real event and what is a non-real event?
I mean, most of the time you can tell the difference, I suppose by, well, usually in these dreams and such, there's something happening that is, it just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't follow logic or the things that you have experienced in your life to know to be real. Like, for instance, I had a dream one time where I was back in the colony that I grew up in, all those years ago. But I personally was an adult. I was full grown, right? But logically, that's not possible because by the time I was a full grown person, that colony wasn't there anymore. It didn't exist. So I know. So that logical inconsistency lets me know that that wasn't a real event. There's no way that could have been a real event.
So you were not actually temporally dislocated.
Correct.
Then why would you perceive that you were?
Couldn't tell you, to be honest. That's where some of the this whole theories and such come in about dreams. And
Is that not frustrating? Is that what frustrating is?
Yeah,
That
it
sounds
certainly can be.
frustrating.
It can be frustrating. You're absolutely right, because I want to understand things, I want to know how things work. And yeah, sometimes you just don't, and it can be kind of frustrating. But you learn to live with it, and you got to prioritize the frustrations. Some things are small frustrations where you can kind of move past it because it's not a super important thing in your life and in events. Other things are big frustrations where if you don't solve that frustration and figure it out, well, then things can go awry and bad things might happen.
Like the proper temperature to maintain in the core reaction.
Exactly. That's an important one. We always want to know what that is and make sure that we're doing right what we need to make sure it stays that way. Whereas, maybe me not knowing how a certain book ends because I accidentally left it behind on on Jant's station years ago. That's a smaller frustration, and because it's not an important event. And one day I'll find the damn book and finish it.
Why would you hide an object from yourself?
Oh no, it ain't about hiding them. It's just sometimes I get distracted and forget what I did with things.
Ah.
Yeah.
Well,
Can be a little scatterbrained sometimes.
I will endeavor not to get distracted. I imagine
I
that would
appreciate
be
it.
more difficult for myself than for you.
That's true. I think you're probably a little better about that than I am, which is great, because to have a friend like you who can help maybe keep me from getting distracted would be super useful.
If you would like to provide further parameters, I can certainly aid in aligning your perspectives, perceptions.
I have to make you a list.
Very well.
Hey, got a question for you, since you seem to be having opinions and such now.
Yes, Solitaire.
I was thinking about doing some upgrades and such, and I got a little bit of leeway to choose some stuff. And well, like the company SSC, Smith Shimano Corporation, they got this one particular frame of theirs that uses some electromagnetic devices and such for various defensive and offensive and utilitarian purposes. And I was thinking about trying to incorporate some of those. What do you think about those?
Accessing data uplink. The Black Witch is what you are referring to.
That's the one. Yeah.
highly sophisticated technology. To an extent.
It is.
Well, I suppose with your line of work, with our line of work, in these bodies, chassis, frames, often in contact with other metallic-based or other magnetically reactive elements, could prove very useful.
That's what I was thinking. And yeah, electromagnetic. I mean, people have been working with that for, forever now. But still, it's very flexible and versatile. I think we could do a lot with it.
Yes. Is this my body?
Well, I wouldn't say as such. Because see, you can come out of there. If we take your casket out, technically we could put you in a different one.
So this is my home.
Suppose for now it would be. It's one way of looking at it.
I suppose this is our home, though you exist outside.
I do have to get out every once in a while and go do stuff, yeah. Unfortunately, I can't accomplish everything I need to just sitting in here. Sometimes I'd like that, though, because there's, it's quiet and nice and comfortable.
This facility lacks much of what organics need to survive comfortably.
Sadly enough, we are a very needy species.
Yes, you are. Does Kitsune have any sort of avatar at all? Any image that might pop up on a screen or a hologram of some sort?
So the original idea with Kitsune was that it did have an avatar, which was literally a chibi Kitsune anime figure. Very cartoonish.
Right. Is that something you would like to keep or modify?
You know what? I still like the idea. I think it's funny, so I think
Okay.
okay with that.
Well, okay, sure. No Rami for you then. All right. Yes, I imagine there's like you have different screens or whatnot in the cockpit.
Yeah.
And you just
I
have.
imagine there's a bunch of them, to be honest.
You just have little chibi Kitsune, sort of
Yeah.
bouncing
plus,
around like Clippy.
The data plating that he has also gives him augmented reality overlay.
Yep.
So I must imagine around up there fairly commonly.
Yeah, within range. Yeah, there's no reason. Would Kitsune have pronoun preferences? It, they, she, him?
Do NHPs have pronoun preferences? That's an interesting question, and I don't know the answer.
Okay. Perhaps that's something
I will have to
explore.
consider that.
All right.
Yes.
We'll have a what is that episode? That episode where Data makes a daughter. We'll have one of those at some point. Okay. Well, with that, is there anything more you would like to talk about with Kitsune? Or I mean, otherwise you can just hang out and talk. But is there anything more from the scene that you would like?
No, I think that's a good place to leave the scene. And at some point, he would basically shoot over a requisition for the Black Witch components and such. After talking about it, but I don't think he necessarily needs to like go into somebody's office and be like, "Hey, I want this."
Yeah,
Like he's literally more comfortable sending an email.
yeah. It's literally a form that you just send out.
Yeah.
All right. Accessing license details and schematics. If I may, I can make some suggestions.
Oh yes.
Bring up
please.
blueprints and an outline of the mech, and different charts of power distribution and heat distribution, and how best to integrate some of these components as you unlock license levels and whatnot.
Yeah,
and we will.
There's going to be lots of numbers and diagrams and shit going all over the place for a while.
Nice. And we'll zoom out of your cockpit and down the hallway. So, well, Starblood or Blacksmith? This is all kind of nebulous. It doesn't need to take place all on the same day or back to back. We're sort of in this week, 2 week long, we might be jumping through time a little bit here.
Let's do it.
All right. So, Blacksmith, you put in when you got back from this last mission that you would like a bit more leadership training, specifically de-escalation techniques. So, with that, yeah, you can set up through the Navy's help, through Commander Leary. You can set up an appointment with Professor Wilhelmina Newt, who is a civilian, how do I have this here? Civilian professor of relativistic stellar warfare and strategy, as well as other things, but that is her current department. This is a professor that you would have had through your time in the academy, usually teaching more of the civilian side, more historical side of things, various sort of non-military, more diplomacy style leadership stuff, things along a more historical approach of previous relativistic conflicts, whether they be actual military conflicts or diplomatic conflicts or even trade conflicts, and the difficulty of maintaining those and being proactive and having foresight into things on a relativistic scale, but is also very in tune with the more humanities side of things, not necessarily directly psychology. She's not a counselor, but again, sort of public speaking, public relations, even to a lesser extent, sort of stellar anthropology, you could say. What do you think is your relationship with this teacher and those classes? Are you a good student? Did you excel? Or are these topics that Blacksmith just kind of got through?
This way, I definitely, skated by. I would say, this is probably, a B would be, if we're going, traditional A to F, a B would be, him actually trying. More like just your average It's like, I don't need this stuff as much, kind of thing. I'm here to be a pilot. Like, yeah, it's one of those, like, he respects the professor, but this is not one where he really applied himself.
All right. I forget. Professor Newt, was this one of the characters you suggested or Sean suggested? Or was it something we just kind of came up with?
I think it's something we just kind of came up with,
Okay.
honestly.
Cool. Excellent. Just in case any of you had, if it was one of your characters, if you had a specific image of her. So, Professor Wilhelmina Newt. Professor Newt does sort of have that sort of I'm envisioning not a teacher but somebody who worked in a library back in my college experience. This sort of like late sort of like old-ish hippie librarian lady. The woman who always smells vaguely of patchouli and other spices that can get a little off-putting if you stay in an enclosed space too long. Hair that is always a little bit just too frizzy, not completely unkempt, but a little bit frizzy, not necessarily done in any particular way. She really likes cardigans or the 12,000 years in the future sci-fi version of whatever cardigans may be. Asymmetrical cardigans. Isn't terribly old, but again, with medical technology in this future, it's hard to tell who is terribly old until they really are terribly old. But Professor Newt is known as being a relatively laid-back, cheerful, optimistic, easygoing professor. Her classes are never terribly difficult, especially for dedicated cadets. As long as you show up, you look like you're paying attention to some degree, and you can show that you have absorbed at least some of the basic information that she feels is necessary for you to move forward, as responsible people who will eventually be in history, whether in history books, but at least somebody who in the future will have been part of the past, is sort of her way of looking at it. And you managed to make it through, obviously. But it's been determined that she's probably the best person for you to talk to. If you wanted to pursue this further, you might be able to actually nail down a conversation with Commander Leary, though that's difficult. It's difficult to get a one-on-one prearranged meeting for a specific purpose with Commander Leary. So it's been passed on to Professor Newt. So you can head back down, you can head back into the academy, really, and basically head over to her office.
Just give a knock on the door before entering.
It is Athen Mashan, if I remember correctly. Yes.
Yep, good to see you, Professor.
Well, it is a pleasure having you back in my office. Do you prefer Athen or Mr. Mashan?
Athen is fine.
Athen. Well, in that case, you can call me Wilhelmina. I know, and I mean nothing by this, that my particular area of research and expertise and classes weren't necessarily what you were most interested in your time, though I recognize that you excelled quite favorably in a number of other courses, and you're standing obviously as a pilot. But we talked briefly, and I have heard from Commander Leary, as much as anyone hears from Commander Leary, that you had some questions about leadership, escalation, de-escalation, difficult, tense social encounters out in the field.
Yeah. So, we just had a mission not that long ago, and kind of found out the hard way that immediately punching the bad guy in the face is not usually going to be the most viable approach. And I feel like I kind of put not only my team but a lot of people in danger because of it. So
That does tend to set a very specific tone.
look,
Would you like some tea?
Professor,
I have a very nice blend from one of the local colonies.
I'm not much of a tea person, but I will give it a shot.
That's the spirit. She goes over and she has like one of those little desktop kettle things, or the sci-fi version of it, and pours 2 fancy sci-fi cups of tea. It has a strong smell to it, not unpleasant, but a very strong smell to it. She hands it over. She reaches over and turns on this sort of infuser incense machine or something. There we are. Well, I suppose the best way to go through this is, since you are here, one-on-one personal conversation. I'd rather approach this as a topic and a conversation, helping to refine what exactly you are interested in, what you are requesting help with, as opposed to a lecture of some sort.
Right, I'm thinking more. It's recognizing kind of when you've got the bad hand, and then trying to find a way to still make that work to your advantage. I feel like during our last mission that was kind of the case, and I know for a fact that I made it worse. So, if you have any examples that maybe we could study first, given your subject matter expertise, maybe we could start there, and then if we have AR, VR programming, maybe I could work my way through just so we can start identifying some of those aspects.
Yes, well, of course, there are a number of texts on this, from just very, very basic understandings to much more actual, very, very refined focus on specific instances of various treaties and negotiations. And yes, we could set up some sort of virtual training exercises or whatnot. That sounds like a good idea, but we should be implementing more of those. Experiential learning, I think, is very important, and it's difficult to really understand and know how to apply such sort of esoteric social skills when you're not really using them in interactions with groups in a classroom setting is only so effective. So I will look into requisitioning some more sophisticated virtual technology to apply. That is a very good idea. Very good idea.
Well, would it be beneficial if, maybe while we're out on missions, if we do, I don't know if it'd be possible to try to record as much as we could, then we could bring it back for the Academy to use. That way we could even, look, I was always taught that eliminating the threat fastest, usually with either blade or bullet, was the preferred method there. And that doesn't really apply to all situations. But I've always found that reviewing afterwards from the scrapyard was very beneficial in refining my fighting techniques. I'm wondering if there's an application for that, maybe in your training programs or whatnot. Is there a way that I could talk to my squad and we could try to get more information for you?
Well, I suppose that's something you will have to talk with your commanding officer about as to what information you can disclose, especially recorded information. But unless you have been bound to some sort of policy of non-disclosure, we could simply discuss what happened in the last mission.
Great. Well, and I'll just start kind of doing a play-by-play as to kind of what happened. Definitely not holding back where threats were exchanged, and I may have thrown a guy at the guy.
Well, I suppose in a situation such as that, and every situation is going to be different and have its various nuances and complications, and unfortunately, there's guidelines that I can provide and different things to look for, steps to take, and things to identify. But every situation is going to be a little bit different, and I think there is, unfortunately, certainly a time and place when direct violence can be applied in a mostly beneficial circumstance when necessary, but it is with this, as we are calling it, third committee of union, much greater precedence being set on limiting that as much as possible. Now, I know you're not an actual union official or Navy officer in that particular degree, from what I understand. You sort of operate tangential to that. We don't need to get too far into that. So I understand your particular talents and mindset certainly has usefulness in rounding out whatever group you may be a part of on these missions. But if you are looking to sort of preserve a more diplomatic approach without resorting to violence or threats of violence, there are some things to consider. I would say the immediate suggestion of potential violence usually does not is usually not very well received. Generally, if necessary, further along the lines of communication, it may be appropriate to provide pressure to different points of conversation, hints of difficulties that may arise, very, very logical difficulties, and you can help one party or the other sort of see where and when and what may cause those difficulties to arise. But blanket threats, especially of immediate violence, and don't tend, in my experience and my preference, don't tend to get you really what you're looking for. I suppose there are military officers who would disagree, various interrogation techniques, and I suppose that comes down to, well, the power distribution. And I think that's the first thing to look for when you're assessing a situation, is understanding what sort of authority each side may have, and what, at least in their perspective, grants them that authority, and what they feel is due to them because of that authority. Even if it's not an authority that you like, that you agree with, just because you don't agree, even if you very vehemently disagree with somebody or their point of view, it is important to remember that they hold to it strongly, and they are a human being like the rest of us, who presumably have formed that opinion trying, at least from my experience, trying to do the best they can at whatever they're looking to do. However misguided that may be, or however misaligned with your own perspectives or ideals. It's important to remember that you're having a conversation with somebody who feels as they are in the right.
So try to meet them where they are.
Not only to try to meet them where they are, but try to understand how they got there. And offer some sort of respect, even if you disagree. Respect does not have to does not have to be directly tied to approval. It's much easier to talk to somebody and create a level of rapport if you're speaking to them as with some level of equity. As long as they're being reasonable. And even reasonable is a nuance that has to be assessed at the time.
Yeah, the last one was Setcom nut job, if we're gonna be honest.
Well, see, nut job is something that may be an unhealthy classification when trying to ascertain where everybody is coming from, because Setcom did operate very successfully for a very long time. They did some very bad things, but they were also very successful in other things. Now, of course, a lot of what they did and a lot of various policies they held were very problematic, and we're not refuting that at all, and by offering a level of respect and understanding and communication does not validate any of those things. But if this individual, as you said, had achieved the rank of Commodore, wherever he had come from, whoever may have bestowed that title upon him, it's perceivable that he's endured some level of work to get to that point. And in his mind, he's due a level of respect because of the efforts that he's put in.
I'll have to keep that one in mind.
It can be difficult to remember. Difficult to interact with somebody that you disagree with to that extent.
I was going to wander over to Tavik.
So,
I suppose I'm getting some practice with that on a near daily basis in that case.
Identifying and acknowledging both sides' positions and goals is a good first step to take. Help find some sort of mutual respect. Whatever that may be, even if it has to be feigned. But, as they used to say...
I think I've got the... Oh, God.
You catch more flies with honey than with vinegar. Though why you would want to catch flies... Not sure why that was a phrase, but it's one for the books.
You know what? I think I actually have the perfect person to practice with, so thank you. And if you have any recommended reading or practice materials, I would happily take this off your hands.
Well, I can certainly put together a reading list for you.
I would appreciate it. Thank you so much, Professor Newt.
Alright. So, you will spend far more time than you wanted to today continuing that conversation, and you will leave with a very long list of reading recommendations and, diplomatic negotiation programming software and whatnot, practice software and whatnot. I mean, you basically spend the rest of the day in her office creating a sort of makeshift syllabus for what could be, a whole curriculum based around what you want.
Yeah.
Unlikely you're going to dive that deep into what she gives you, but we can certainly revisit some things, should we ever want to. And I spent more time than we have going over de-escalation techniques, and I realize we don't have time to go through all of that, nor would it necessarily be all that interesting. So you can leave probably with a stack of books and a folder of different pamphlets and reading lists and whatnot, data pad, I imagine Professor Newt actually does keep a library of physical books, which is not only unusual but annoying and heavy. So,
And I'm just gonna put out a call to August, Shiv, and Logan, and be like, "Well, I got homework. If anybody wants to help me practice some stuff, and want to get in screaming matches, that sounds like fun, right?"
Wait, are you offering to let us yell at you for like hours?
Well, it's either you or Tavik, and well, quite frankly, I'm a little less inclined to knock your teeth out.
I mean,
Aw,
it does sound like
sweet.
an awful lot of fun, to be perfectly honest.
Okay. Buy some beer and I'm in.
Hey, you know what? Tell you what. How about we all meet at Frank's later, and we can talk about some of this.
Sure.
Absolutely in.
I can imagine Professor Newt back in her office going, "Screaming matches and beer are exactly not what we just talked about." These are not.
I don't know. It's just laying out like guidelines and stuff like that while
Yeah.
we're having a drink and getting a burger.
Yep. All right. Well, let's mix it up here, actually, then. And what do I have? Where am I? Yeah, let's save that for a little bit later. We'll save the license levels can actually be taken care of in a block afterwards. So, because I know Starblood's thing is probably going to take a bit. Let's head over to Siobhan. Now, Siobhan, Shiv, Bite. As I said, it's been a week since you've been back. It's only been a week since you've been back. It's also been a week since you've been back.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure all three of those inflections have run past you at some point. Very recently, probably frequently. But you are running out of things to keep your mind preoccupied, to keep yourself distracted, to tell yourself that you need to take care of. You don't have time for anything else. You got your apartment, your quarters, I should say. You set up your stuff. You got your computer worked up again. Probably have some programs running in the background, getting new things downloaded, collecting information, you know, sending out different programs and whatnot to collate various information of legitimate and illegitimate things that have happened in your time away, forming contacts with new people here on the station and elsewhere, having conversations. You've sent out your requisition form for your, what was it? It was the,
Dusk Wing.
The Dusk Wing. Yes, you've sent out your requisition form for the SSC Dusk Wing license. And this is before, we'll say it's before the conversation you just had with Blacksmith and the rest of the group, before you have the excuse of let's go hang out at Frank's with your friends. It's that off period. After what happened with the asteroid, you weren't injured, whereas most of the others were in some way, so they're in hospital, they're getting checked up on, they're home recovering. And it's just been a day, an evening, maybe two to yourself. You can only put it off so long, especially since it's right there on your computer setup. But while you're doing things, every so often, we do see Siobhan's eyes sort of glimmer up off to the side. probably shake your head and go back to doing some things and put some music on, shuffle through a number of different things, and you're just not feeling any of these particular tracks. And looking up into the corner again. I realize I'm describing what you are doing, and I try not to. I will put you in this scene. You have nothing else to do. And you have this weight in the corner of your desktop.
Yeah, my everything is kind of on that computer, so to be actively avoiding it leaves me with very little else to do.
Yeah. You can hide the folder somewhere, but you know it's there.
I think in this period of time, she's always had the bad habit, but it tends to these days only come out when her mind's really bad, but she's bitten her nails bloody. She's just constantly.
Yeah.
And so she kind of catches sight of them, curses, goes, gets band-aids. Her fingertips are going to be very colorful the next time everybody sees her. She has the fun band-aids, because what's the point? But yeah, once that's done and she's in this like pile of band-aid scraps, she's just going to sigh. You gotta look. Even just to clear the notifications. So she's gonna go to her computer and she'll open up that program.
Alright. You open up the call log. And really, as you would expect, for the last 15 years, there's not much of a change. Not a lot of people reach out to you. The people who reach out to you most, you were with during that time. Few notifications from the Union, from Union DOJ, Department of Justice. Few little notifications from your parole officer. Obviously, he knew that you were away on mission, so it was more of just like record keeping, like this has been sent off to prosecution, or they requested this information, or oh hey, we found your hard drive, what the fuck. But the big things there you do see, and you probably have this written off as a separate sort of filter program. You do have your folder for your father's call log. And when you left, there were 5 messages in there. There are... let me make sure I got this. There are now 12 messages on your system. And I'll leave it to you what you were expecting, but that's not as many as there should be if he's been calling year after year, every year. If he's been planet-side, if he's been stationary, and he hasn't been moving relativistically throughout the galaxy, it's been probably somewhere between 23, 25 years for him. Which you remember, and that's a shock to you in and of itself, because for you it's been 5 years and change.
Yeah.
But to remember that it's been, could be up to 25 years for him, that you've been away, that you haven't talked to him, that he hasn't heard from you. In fact, it's been a longer gap in time not talking to each other, at least from his perspective, than it was, your entire time growing up with him. You were younger. You spent less time with him in your entire life from his perspective than this gap of silence.
Becoming a smaller and smaller fraction in his lifetime.
Yeah.
Can I math out when the last call had happened and how long that would have been for him? So it's not the full 25.
About 8 years ago, generally from his perspective.
Okay.
Well, you have 12 messages, but the system records 3 more calls after that, each a year apart. So it looks like he attempted to call for 15 years, and then it's been silent for about 8. So it's been around that 23-year mark.
So he just stopped leaving messages and then stopped altogether.
That's what it looks like.
Viv has a terrible thought of maybe that's better. Maybe becoming a smaller and smaller fraction is better. Until he just forgets. But pushes that back because that's too big to think about for someone who's only experienced 5 years of it. I'm going to listen to the very first message first, and then decide if I want to listen to more.
Okay. You pull up the first message. This is an OmniNet call. It has like full video and everything. And you see popping up on the screen your father, looking exactly as he had when you left. Of course, this was decades ago for him, probably. Presumably, a year after you left. This call probably came in before you even reached Far Station 12. And we see pulled up on the screen this sort of middle-aged man, hair sort of neatly combed back, full head of graying hair, laugh lines from a life well lived, a little bit of stockiness to his frame. Definitely has the dad bod going on, but healthy and happy, living a life that is easy on a core world. And his face comes up on screen like it is for all of us now in this call, and just big beaming smile. Hello, Shivy. And we'll be back in about 10 minutes or so from our break. We're gonna go get up, prepare ourselves for what is about to happen. Get a drink, stretch, whatever you may need to do. We're gonna take a bit of a break and come back for this. Shiv's calls from Dad.
Woo!
Stay tuned, folks. I'm gonna make somebody cry. Enjoy some flashy lights and some music. Hello and welcome back to RPGs Uncovered. We're back for the second half-ish of the Starcrier Conflict. We're going to jump right back into things, and last we left off, let me actually make this even more personal. I'm getting rid of everybody else. I'm bringing Bite
just
front and center.
Leaving my little gremlin.
We left off, Bite, Siobhan, Carey, alone in their room, probably quite dark. It's a hacker's den. Probably quite dark. Maybe reclining in the beanbag chair, has the computer set up. A lot of projects set up, a lot of projects finished, a lot of projects running, and now opened a call log. OmniNet voicemails from her father, dating back 23 years. Or at least for most of those 23 years. A good chunk of those 23 years. And Siobhan has brought up the first message. The first of 15, I believe it is, messages that are currently left in her OmniNet voicemail. And we see pulled up on screen, I imagine, in my mind's eye, correct me if you see differently, sort of a much more jovial, more dad-bod version of Mass Effect's Elusive Man.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So, we see the later middle-aged figure, facial features of her father, which it's been a bit. What is his name? I should have, because to you he's just dad, but
He's just dad.
Yeah. He has a name.
He does have a name, I
Yeah.
think. Did I name him?
Yeah, we have a name. It's somewhere, but I don't want to. I don't worry about pulling that up right now
Dad.
because for you it's dad. So we see Mr. Carey here on the call. That sort of close cropped with a bit of a coif, sort of salt and pepper, more salt than pepper hair, laugh lines from a life of a person who is generally easygoing and happy, living life well on a core world, plenty to eat, plenty to do. Everything is provided as long as, you keep providing the services that you provide to society, which you are allowed to do in whatever means you find most comfortable and most fulfilling to yourself. For him, that means some sort of scientific work, though we don't exactly know what that is. But a life well lived. His face pops up on camera. Beaming smile, if a bit awkward, pops up on camera. And I'm going to put our cameras to the side because I got to get through this too. And we hear, Siobhan hears, her father. A voice you haven't heard. Well, for you, it's only been 5-6 years or so. For him, it's been 23 or more, somewhere around there. Time gets weird with relativistic time differences. But you see a face you haven't seen in a long time. You hear a voice you haven't heard in a long time. And it probably catches you off guard that the first thing you hear, the first thing you see, is his beaming smile. Like nothing has... Like you haven't been shipped off as a convict, performing a service to a military far off somewhere in recompense for what you did, for your conviction. No, this is typical response from your father. Happiness, acceptance, caring. Hello, Shivy. Dad here. You could tell that from my voice and my face and my comm ID. But hello from Dad. Happy birthday. I know most of this time for you has probably been spent in transit, so it's not as long for you. But I wanted to call and say I miss you, and I wish you well in whatever endeavors this stage of life brings your way. Things have been simple for me here. Things have been good. And he spends the next 5, 10, 15 minutes just rambling on about mundane day-to-day things. Normal dad conversation, as if you walked in from the kitchen from your room to get a drink of water and he just started talking. But he gets through talking about some things that happened with his neighbors, a play he went to go see. He set up a little garden just outside in your side lawn. Then he gets to, I'm sure you're working hard, or about to, in your new Union Navy studies. I know it's not what you wanted, but Union does afford the best, and I believe that's you, whatever it is you may be doing. I won't keep you long, if I haven't already. I'm sure you're still trying to settle in, or when you're hearing this, trying to settle in. And still finding out where you are and who you are here, wherever here is. I know we didn't leave on the best of circumstances, but I want you to know and always remember, Shivi, that I believe in you, and I care for you, and I want the galaxy itself for you. And no pressure, but I know you deserve it. Please give your old man a call when you finally settle in. I want to hear all about what you're learning and what you're working towards. And the neighbors say hi. With love, Dad. Message 1. Unless you stop it, it immediately starts playing message 2.
Oh, absolutely not. With the most disrespect she's ever shown her computer, she slams a button to make sure it doesn't autoplay.
Okay. It's still there, though. There's still 14 more messages. 17 more calls. And 22 more years of time that has passed. All sitting there, right there. Trying to hold it down. You can feel the weight on your computer. This imaginary emotional weight pushing against your hand. Trying to keep it down.
I'm gonna navigate to the last voicemail he left.
Okay.
I want to play that one next.
I will say, however this may affect your decision, how you plan on navigating these total messages, I will bring your attention, if you go up to the journal tab, you should see in the journal tab that you now have access. I thought I said this, but maybe not. Here we go. Let me just update that. You should now have access to a journal book called Shiv's Calls from Dad.
Oh.
You can look through those. There's a few messages there. I will leave it to you if we hear all of them and in what order. But you have listened to the first year's message, and you would like to now play the last message.
Yeah.
Okay. You don't want to go through the entire 15 years of emotional turmoil I spent all this time working on? No, this is fun.
Haley.
Yeah.
Certainly will. But no, I'm trying to stab myself in the chest, Jack.
All right. So, all those messages are still there. But you open your computer back up and you navigate down to the last one. Let me make this sad music a little louder because it's sad time.
Sad times.
And this is probably fortunate for both of us because this would be a lot more difficult for even me to get through. But you see,
I already cried.
I got you already. That was
Yeah.
that was the nice happy one.
Oh,
That's almost
Jack, you are
worse.
evil.
So
Don't read them yet.
you see, and you don't bring them up, but you can see, over on the side of the call log, that first call was like 20-25 minutes long. The calls continue to get increasingly shorter throughout the years. And the last ones are only a few minutes. You don't know what they say, but there is that 12th message there. And then the system does record 3 more calls, each a year apart, but no recording left. In fact, the first of them, there is a recording, but it's only 5 seconds long. You even go to click that one because it would have been the last one with an actual message, and it's just a sigh and the click of it turning off. And that was 8 years ago. Cradle time. You go back to the last message that actually has a message. Hello, Siobhan. I don't know if I can keep doing this. Year after year. Waiting so long to hear from you. Waiting so long to try again, only to know. To assume. I still won't hear from you. That makes me feel even worse. Knowing that it's so selfish of me to give up. Knowing that I couldn't be the father you wanted me to be. That you needed me to be. And that I could just let you go. I did let you go. Then ship you off to some unknown region of space, never to hear from you again. I don't know if you're even seeing these, or if you're choosing not to listen, to respond. You can't even tell me if you're alive, Siobhan. Out on some mission. I thought they'd bring you into military R&D or some sort of operational controller. Not some soldier to die on some rock. I don't know if I can keep doing this, Siobhan. I'm not giving up on you. I need you to know I'm not giving up on you. And I'm not moving on from you. Please believe that. I don't think I can live like this anymore. Not knowing or knowing that I pushed you away. I don't know if I can call again. I'm so sorry. Please, whatever you may think of me, whatever you're doing now, never forget I'll always love you. Please. Click. Screen goes dark. And you're left sitting in a dark room alone.
The hard drive that I got back, that was taken and then I took back, is sitting on my desk. And the room goes dark because Lord knows Shiv doesn't use fucking overhead lights. Fuck the science light. Nobody likes overhead lighting, it's stupid. So the room is dark. And she is sobbing. And she picks up that hard drive, and the case of it like creaks under her grasp until she throws it across the room. The next time the boys see Shiv, which I imagine is going to help Athen, she is the happiest, smiliest person. But I don't think she touches her computer for several days. Won't even look at it.
Okay. And we will leave Siobhan there in that dark room. And Haley,
You two did this.
in whatever room she is in right now, to peruse on your time, should you want to, several other messages that were recorded.
I'll cry about it again later.
Yeah. If you had made me go through all of them, it would have been a much more emotional delivery from me in that last message, but I tried.
Are you saying it could get worse than your voice doing the really sad crack at the end? You did so good.
Oh, yes.
That hurt me physically.
I cried
That wasn't
writing
even
these.
That was even my scene, and I'm almost crying over here.
So, Siobhan, Haley, we'll leave
Mhm.
you off to the side, give you some time.
Thanks.
Starblood,
Yes.
you had wanted, for something entirely different, you had wanted to spend some time with some of the other more mechanically minded members of your squad. Or at least your general Lancer group, wanting to reach out to the other squad in particular. Maybe mend some bridges, build some bridges, and build some updates, refine some things with your mech and your equipment. You've, of course, sent in your requisition through command for the... Actually, I believe I asked you this out of session, but you are just going through requisitions for this, right? You don't have a contact back in HA to reach out to for your specific license.
I
that you
mean,
wanna
there's
press.
probably
You have them,
yeah. I was
whether
gonna
you
say
wanna
there's
press
probably
them.
plenty of people I still have contact or the ability to have contact with.
Right.
Though I don't think I actively do. No. This is just being properly filed through all the proper stations. There's a whereas plenty of people would probably put down just the casual title for the licenses they're working towards. He does include the exact serial numbers for everything
Mm-hmm.
for this license.
All right. And that is the Genghis?
That is in fact the Genghis.
Yes. License
One
level
of,
one for Genghis.
Yes, one of his favorites from back in the day.
Yes. Who doesn't love some good war crimes?
Well, for clearing underbrush.
Right. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
purely landscaping purposes.
Yes. Landscaping. I like that.
Yeah. So, with that requisition form sent out, it'll probably take a couple days to get that sent through before you can actually get it out to the printers and start actually working on integrating these new pieces into your mech. But you had wanted to play around with one of the other pieces of integrated Harrison Armory technology that you have in your
yes, I had.
in your frame.
Yeah, the way I imagine it, I've mentioned this off screen. I don't think I have on screen, but at some point while we were at the street festival, there was mention that he would have made of wanting to make modifications to his stub cannon to turn it into a bit more of a fire cannon.
So, would you like to reach out to Logan and August about potentially meeting up to work on this?
I think that he probably would reach out to August, not with the express intent of sitting down to work on this, but for the sake of having a conversation about what they've been through, with the intent on his end to use that as sort of a stepping stone to mention it again and see if there would be any interest in working on that project, because I know that's the sort of thing that he'd be interested in.
Oh yeah, no, he'd jump on that.
Chance to look at some very interesting Harrison tech on top of everything else.
What are you wanting it to do?
Well, the hope was to bring it more in line with I was hoping to be able to eventually switch out the physical projectiles for something more flammable.
Okay.
So you're looking for incendiaries?
Something like that, yes. That would be ideal.
Do you want it sticky?
Is that something that can be done?
Oh yeah.
Sure.
I mean,
I would like that.
first thing that pops into my head is this probably be the easiest way to go about things. Is to focus less on the actual firing mechanism and more on the ammunition. Because right now, that thing's firing what? Just high explosives?
Yes. The biggest concern I have, if we're going to be changing the ammunition, is that we're going to have to also take a look at some of the gauges that control the firing mechanism, because, well, the Iskander stub cannon does fire with a significant amount of force, and if we're switching it for incendiary rounds, then there's the concern that that force could set them off prematurely. And I wouldn't want that.
Well, I wouldn't worry about that too much because, to be perfectly honest, most likely the high explosive payload that you got in there now is probably a little bit more sensitive than the most incendiaries would be anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, it dawns on me. What if there was a way to go in the other direction? What if we could purposefully, and you would be the one to know this, the two of you, what if there was a way to intentionally set it off for more close range expulsion of flame instead of as a projectile? If we can set it off and direct it outwards, like a smaller version of the Krakatoa. Do you know about that?
So you want a flamethrower?
Well, another one.
I mean, theoretically possible.
Yeah.
go in that direction, you are going to have to look at reinforcing the actual aperture and all that kind of stuff against the force of the actual damage, because that's going to damage where that flame is coming out. Because right now it's not set up for that. There's obviously some amount of heat resistance and such, from kinetic force and friction and all that, but that's going to have to be reinforced, maybe even replaced with something of a different material.
Right, because the prolonged heat will warp things.
That makes sense. I will say that I'm already looking at for Mark II, including vents to deal with some of what I imagine the heat buildup will be.
Oh yeah, you definitely have way more heat build up that way too.
Oh yeah. So invest in a cooling system.
That can be done.
Yeah, you're gonna have to have, like you said, more venting and stuff's gonna have to be run through there. Maybe even some kind of I don't know, some thermal conductive materials to pull that heat away from your central core.
And as they're speaking, his left hand is just sort of typing away in the air, and you can see on his the data pad that he always has on, just information seems to be building in it.
Also, it should go without saying, you'll need a fuel source.
Of course.
So,
well, my hope was that an ignitable fluid of some sort isn't a necessarily terrible idea if we can take the explosion inside of the barrel and channel it outwards. That would create pressure and force that would push that fluid outwards, so that even if we were engaging in 0G, in theory, it should still go in the direction we want.
I mean, here's a thought. Think, because I mean, honestly, you talk about using a liquid fuel source, all this kind of stuff, prolonged. That's literally ripping the whole damn thing out and replacing it. That's not a modification. That's just a full-on replacement. That's a completely different mechanism. Now, on the other hand, if you modify it so that you can still use some sort of incendiary round that the stub cannon could potentially already fire, except rather than generally something like that's going to have like a two-stage ignition. You got one that pops it forward, another that pops out your incendiary, and just a single stage so that it pops right there. Reinforce that chamber in the barrel and all that kind of stuff so that it just pops straight out from there. And then all you need is some kind of ejection system to pop out that round and pop another one in its place. Which stub cannon's already got something like that.
Yes.
I mean, there's always a chance you just blow your whole chest up, but
it's true.
Well, at least the risk will be on mine.
But in theory, it's fun.
Oh, good. I'm all about having fun.
Okay, listen. Sarcasm. In theory, it's possible. We'll need some time to sort of go through the different potentials, see if we can figure out a prototype.
We can definitely run some simulations and that kind of thing. Figure out some, because you got to look at, you're gonna be looking at pressure dynamics and your structural integrity and all that kind of stuff, because that's going to be a fairly vicious explosion, kind of right in the middle of all your everything.
Yes.
I got a question for you though. What's the point?
Well, taking from our last mission and where I expect us to be going moving forward, I think it serves a better purpose. Things seem to be coming together in a way where I will benefit more from being directly face to face with whatever it is that we need to remove, and having something that fires with enough pressure to force things backwards is counterproductive.
Gotcha. Okay.
Add to that I think it'll be interesting to watch the things burn.
Okay.
All right.
Adding pyro to the list of your qualities. That's
Yeah.
good to know.
I wouldn't go that far, but
You just did a wistful sigh.
Yeah, the
when
little
you talked
gleeful
about
cackle
watching
there.
things burn.
I am a
Like,
Harrison. Fire is sort of our thing.
Okay,
That's
so
correct.
so I'm gonna go ahead and continue to put that on your list of qualities. Thank you so much.
Yes.
I will look into it. I need to get back to my canon anyway. So I guess now I'm gonna use tablet rather than paper.
At this point, August is kind of like bent over a table, and he has his own little, two pieces hold apart, and it's got this VR surface in between there, that nice kind of glowing orange with figures and all this kind of stuff, and he's just kind of manipulating things on there. And do you think you can send me the stats on Throne?
And he sort of like, he types again a couple times and he waves his hand. And as he does, you get a notification. You should now have access to all of the specifications and access to the physical pieces as well. You've been granted security clearance and whatever else you need.
All right.
Obviously, I trust it stays here.
Hey,
Yeah.
hey,
You don't
Jack.
have to worry about that.
Hey, Jack.
Yes.
As an engineer in my workstation, can I have like the scroll type thing, but like a whiteboard or like a draft table?
Absolutely.
Hell yeah. Cool. Send that to me.
It.
Cool. And he just tosses it up on the whiteboard and just starts putting the pieces together, trying to see what would best work for what Tavik is going for.
So, Tavik, we did talk briefly about this.
We did.
Let's see if I can bring this up. Now, being from Harrison, being a Harrison, the Harrison, presumably, you have a lot of insider knowledge, you have a lot of access. You don't have the licenses to have these printed. You don't have the actual schematics and printable, like, super futuristic, super STL files for these. But you do have at least some knowledge of, and yeah, just confirming that it is Harrison. You do have some knowledge of and some general blueprints, and can acquire some of the specifications and blueprints you need for the Genghis Krakatoa. In fact, this is something that you will be getting from this first license level that you unlock.
Yeah.
As well as the Soul Pattern laser rifle from the, which one is that? That is the I-beam.
That's I know this.
I have Napoleon in my head, and I know it's not the Napoleon. I think it's right under it.
Standard.
It's the, no, it's not the Saladin.
Saladin? No.
No, it's the
Soul
Sherman.
Pattern?
It's the Sherman. Yeah.
Yes.
Soul Pattern laser rifle from the Sherman. So you know that these are two different approaches that you might be able to meld in some way, and form into the stub cannon in some way, or at least provide inspiration in some way, either using the heavily refined, superheated, concentrated laser technology of the Soul Pattern laser rifle, or just going full like napalm or condensed napalm cartridge of the Krakatoa. And for the other two, Blacksmith, Desperado, not Blacksmith, Solitaire and Desperado, you are seeing Harrison schematics and Harrison readouts and Harrison info, things that aren't even really included in the printable license level files. These are the schematics. These are how they work. Normally, when you get a license level, the schematics are there, but they're not really read access. Certainly not write access. They are just printable. So this is
This is the
some
sauce.
stuff that you're looking at.
Yeah. That's where I'm trying to be at.
That's So I guess
What?
it pays to
What?
have connections, don't it?
I would say so, yes.
Damn. I won't say I'm jealous. All right. Here's a thought. This might be heretical to you. How familiar are you with IPSN stuff?
I wouldn't say intimately so, but
You ever heard of the Lancaster?
I have.
So it's it's mostly a support thing. It's for transporting and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the Lancaster also integrates what they call a Cutter Mark II. That's a plasma torch. It's roughly about this same size and all that fun stuff. And while I'm not saying you can just rent out and buy one at the corner shop. Or maybe some sort of pared down version of that might be what you're looking for.
Mm-hmm. And is there a way that we might be able to convert this, or is that something I would have to look into elsewhere?
I don't know. If we could get some kind of documentation and all that fun stuff about it, we might be able to at least use it as a framework.
I can ask a friend, see if we can get the specs on it.
You have ISBN friends now. IPS and friends now.
Yeah, I mean, well, for relative meaning of the word.
Much as anyone within any of these companies is ever somebody's friend.
Correct. I will never say that they're my family, because that's the blatant untruth. But
Take it
I'll
from
give them
someone
enough.
for whom they are family. They
Uh,
are never family.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I can ask. They may want the schematics of the prototype.
If they can provide schematics and breakdowns and not just the print files, then that may be something that we can provide in return.
Okay.
But it will be very important that we iron out all of the specifics before we do. On both sides.
Of course. Mutually beneficial and all that.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I will get on that. Give me a day or so.
I look forward to hearing back.
Of course.
So I think
Well,
we. So I
Oh, no,
think,
go ahead.
I think at this point we see a montage of, again, going over these schematics, comparing some things, a quick smash cut to Logan having another conversation with Mr. Stormkirk. Going back and more schematics, playing around with things, sparks flying from just under the camera. Back to another conversation with Stormkirk, maybe Solitaire and Starblood are, off behind your shoulders, having this sort of conference call conversation, ironing out those details, as you said. And I like this. I'm going to lean away from making like build rolls, because I know we did that for the arm cannon, but the game doesn't really work that way as far as building equipment works. So I really like this idea of, yeah, we're requesting these schematics and these breakdowns and whatnot, but we'll give you a copy of what we come up with. I really like that idea, so that is definitely going to work. And we can iron out those details, whatever they may be, if you guys have specifics that you want to work out. As a GM, I'm not interested in the deal with the devil sort of, contract from Avernus screwing over your players sort of thing. So all in good faith. As Stormkirk says, unions, and more specifically Logan's prosperity and well-being, is of personal and professional interest to him. So not really looking to screw you over, especially if you're already, starting out this conversation, making it a pretty good deal for him, because especially if you let him know that this is technology that is utilizing in some fashion Harrison technology, his Harrison innovation. So this is a way indirectly for IPSN to get some good insight and even a little bit of technical know-how, if in piecemeal, from Harrison, which is a great boon from them. For them.
Listen. The sneaky little rat, the little shithead urge to go, oh no! Look at these schematics that I have. Oh no! Yep. Yeet.
Sorry, I forgot to minimize the window when I shared my screen.
Oh no, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Just forget that.
Yeah.
It's a good thing we're not recording these calls. What we're recording these calls, well, just don't go back and pause it and print screen.
Right.
I trust you.
For whatever it's worth, Tavik is wholly on board with not only sharing these schematics, but making it very clear where they're coming from.
Excellent.
Sure.
He is more than happy to have his name on them.
That's real as hell.
Yep. There doesn't need to be any accidents here. This can just straight up be a thing that's happened.
Excellent.
You know what? I mean, maybe we could talk. Yeah, just one of those like, hey, this would be a really good way to, sort of butter some, grease some palms and whatnot. Also, August, my boy, if you want in, if you want to be in, I can get you in with, at PSN. It's fine. I'm happy to make friends for everybody.
In theory, it's all my tech anyway.
Fair. All right, so yeah, I'm gonna share the schematics. What's good? Anyway,
I foresee a very complicated custom LCP file in my future. So over the course of the next week, 2 weeks or so, you guys have some downtime, some time amongst yourselves to live life and to work on this project and other projects. I imagine you're working on this sort of in the same time, in the same space as you're finishing up your arm cannon, probably comparing some of what you were working on there, because I imagine like the capacitors or the charging system, or when you're playing around with possibly using lasers, that could certainly have a tie-in. Housing and scalability and whatnot. So you're working on the stub cannon refit, redesign, you're finishing your arm cannon. So we see all of this coming to fruition in a series of montages. Again, sparks coming from just under the screen. We hear the twisting of wrenches and pneumatic pieces of pneumatic hardware tools and whatnot. We see big cranes lifting pieces of heavy metal and actual frame-size parts, because this is something that you're incorporating into a frame as opposed to the arm cannon, which you're starting small. But even this is comparing the two between these two pieces is giving you a good idea of, again, scalability for if you should want to try to build an actual mech scale arm cannon for your frame in the future. But for now, when we come away from this, when the montage ends, we can see the frame of Throne there in its majestic, shiny alabaster glory, with that purple scarf capelet thing, scarf really, pulled to the side as you are integrating this newly redesigned thermal burst stub cannon. And we'll work out exactly what that does before you go to use it. But for now, we just see that heavy loader come up and these series of chains attached to this as multiple people are pushing this back into the central core of, because that's where the stub cannon was, like in the chest.
Yes,
of
it's
that.
the core
Yeah.
body. Yeah.
So we see that being
And-
installed.
There's just that one cut of Tavik standing there with like arms crossed, with that almost like shit-eating, like pleased grin.
Yep. And then off to the side, the camera will sort of pan to the side and pan down, and in the corner of the hangar, we can see Desperado and presumably Solitaire going over what looks like a modified hardsuit armor that has an integrated cannon, arm cannon. Currently, it is attached via hardpoint to this hardsuit, and it's probably not fired in any sort of wieldy motion, in any sort of wieldy personal way, detached from that hardsuit. But you give up your left or right hand, and you can screw on an arm cannon, and you have a pretty devastating weapon here. I said this off camera before we got started, but this is basically a heavy signature weapon with a free use of hot load ammo once per scene. Which is pretty good, because hot load ammo, I believe it provides knockback or knockdown, does explode, it does some good stuff. And we'll play around if you want to go like full Samus on this and make it, switch to different types and whatnot, and we'll talk about scalability up to mech size. But for now, you have a workable personal weapon, pretty heavy weapon, though it does require that you wear heavy armor.
Okay.
Should you want that to change, I mean, an arm cannon isn't really a sort of light armor, poncho, and pistol sort of cowboy weapon, but we might be able to scale that down into a medium armor if you want something that's a bit more mobile. We can play around with it, but at least for prototype version, you have this heavy armor hardsuit with an arm cannon.
Sweet.
Anything more we want from that scene?
I think that's good.
All right. So it's been a couple weeks at this point. And actually throughout this time, your license level requisition confirmations will have come through. In fact, this makes your job all that much easier, whether you utilize this technology in any big way or not. Starblood, you do get your first license level of the Genghis, which of course includes the Krakatoa, along with another fun toy. I'm not gonna list everything off because I'd have to scroll through the book, but I have it up. The Krakatoa and explosive vents, which sound like they're gonna be real useful in this sort of revised combat role that you want to play. So we'll see more of that later, but it looks like Starblood is retrofitting Throne to be hot. In fact, I will say, towards the end of this, Hotjaw gets word of this and starts hanging around. He's very interested in seeing how this plays out. Goes over and picks up whatever ammunition cartridge you have, which is highly flammable, and just is like, this is some good shit, and just starts like tossing it up in the air. Just kidding. But
don't touch that again.
Rolls his eyes and walks back to his mech where he is likewise adding more highly explosive or highly volatile things. And then at some point during this retrofit, you do hear a small explosion. Tang, 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 off from the side of the room. We see Tavik do exactly what you did. That sort of a slow twist to the neck. Love it. But for everybody else, throughout the next couple days, your license levels do come in. Desperado, you get access to the Raleigh, or at least the first point of the Raleigh, which I know is that, if I remember correctly, is the big fancy pistol, right? That's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Yep. So we can see that being added to the side of your still base form GMS Everest. So it's not the Raleigh just yet, or the Studebaker, as you would like it to be down the line. But you have a real nice hand cannon now.
Yeah.
Blacksmith.
Got a shiny piece.
Likewise, we see the big, bulky frame of Blade 2 as off to the side in this big industrial printer. It dings, there's some hiss, and the cover lifts off to reveal this massive chain axe that you can move over. And obviously you're not lifting it, but you can move over and hook up the chains to the crane and actually lift that up onto your mech, hop inside, and just give that chain axe a good heft. That's certainly going to come in handy. It's a devastating weapon.
Oh, good.
Now, Solitaire, you likewise get your license level for the Black Witch. That comes with some fun gravity toys to integrate. You've been working with Kitsune, who has really optimized how to redirect the energy patterns within this GMS frame to get the most out of this very different technology. It'll have to be changed for if and when you do change out the Everest frame and the Everest reactor and all of the, core components and power grids and whatnot. But for now, it is very, very finely tuned for your specific mech. So you got some real good stuff. And with that, you do get a thank you letter from SSC. Because, of course, it's SSC. And specifically, a Lux Iconic line. So, I will also refer you over to the Journal tab, where you should have access to the SSC thank you letter for Solitaire.
Yep.
And you can pull this up. It is a video message. This is all written out like it's a letter, but it is a video message. And you see an individual who we've seen before. Actually, you've not met them, but Tavik has at the gala. The regional head of Lux Iconic Liaisons here, and that is Zuzuko Greer. Regional Operations Manager and Head of Lux Iconic Liaisons. This, and again, to reiterate, Mix Greer, they are a product of SSC as much as anything else SSC is. They were designed specifically for an environment, and this is nothing unusual for SSC. SSC for a long time has been pushing the boundaries of what human means. Just barely staying on the inside edge of actual proper transhumanism. But they do make a point with genetic modifications, pre and postnatal, various augmentations, various gene programs, different immuno programs, and all kinds of different augmentations throughout your life, throughout generations. And we see Zuzuko Greer has been refined, built as a new type of human who is tall and rather lithe, almost to the point of being lanky, not necessarily frail, but definitely quite thin and almost spindly. This very pale complexion, not necessarily pallid. It's not like they have translucent skin and you can see their veins or anything. We're not going full Nosferatu. But definitely pallid, or definitely pale. A little bit of almost like bluish tinge to it, though it's really only when it hits certain angles of light and whatnot. Almost as if the skin itself is providing some sort of specific UV reflection. The eyes are a little bit wider, a little bit further offset. The actual pupils, the irises, the whole form there, a little bit larger. You can see their long, sort of spindly hands, again, that extra knuckle on the finger, which may be disconcerting, depending on how many different types of new humans you have seen from SSC's meddling. But they are there with a wide smile and an almost Cheshire cat-like wide smile. And their fingers folded together in that very corporate, pleased to meet you sort of business sense. And you get this Lux Iconic appreciation letter. Dear Mr. August Solitaire Walker, I am writing to express the thanks and appreciation of both myself and the Smith Shimano Corporation for your decision to invest in our Lux Iconic Black Witch line. Working closely with Union Navy officials and engineers here on Farstation 12, we have meticulously designed, handcrafted, and digitized with unmatched fidelity these components up to and beyond Union Navy specifications. While this Union contracted license does not include the personal bespoke craftsmanship often synonymous with the SSC Lux Iconic lines, please be assured that this Union Navy fabrication pattern, nonetheless, was designed with the same commitment to SSC's values of enduring, top-of-the-line luxury goods. We hope you continue to trust in and invest in this Lux Iconic line and others throughout your hopefully long and prosperous career, in the Union Navy and beyond. Should you find yourself desiring the more personal touches of a true Lux Iconic package, please do not hesitate to reach out to me or visit the local SSC branch here on Farstation 12, located within the SSC Constellar Assembly campus. With sincerity and gratitude, this was before I changed the name. With sincerity and gratitude, Mix Zuzuko Greer, Lux Iconic Liaison, Smith Shimano Corporation.
Well, ain't that nice? Bet Harrison Armory don't send shit like that.
And as you're looking that over, and you get that sort of smirk like, huh, isn't that nice? we'll see how genuine this is. But we see a smash cut over to Siobhan, where you get a very similar letter. I can also direct you over to the journal, where you should see your own thank you letter.
Oh boy. Oh no. I somehow closed the tab. Give me a second. I'm on the way.
Because, of course, you also requested a license from a Smith Shimano Corp. Lux iconic line, the Duskwing. And we see you have your pad, you're over in the hangar bay, you're sending information over to these large industrial mech scale printers to print off this new piece of equipment that you're looking into. Of course, there's something wrong with my PDF here, but if I can bring up the Duskwing 168, there we go. Yeah, you are looking forward to your new Veil rifle, which is a very interesting piece of technology. Something that provides some interesting area of effects that actually the firing of this Veil rifle can provide cover for friendly targets, which is a very interesting use of, a firearm in a very sort of indirect way. And of course, you're expecting the appropriate components and the confirmation of new hacking code, new invasive code for the Neurospike, which has a number of fun new applications that you can play around with, maybe even modify in some way for your own personal use. And as you send all that information off to the printer to get printed, you bring up your own thank you letter. And then you realize quickly that this file has to be corrupted. Or something. Let me actually bring this up on our overlay. Can I do that? Oh, we need that.
This thing looks spooky.
Yeah.
I like it.
Turn off establishing scenes. We'll move this over here so everybody can see, and we'll move Byte off to the side so you can continue to appreciate this. But this, of course, is a video message as well. However, you don't see Suzaku Greer. You weren't expecting to. Really didn't know who might pop up for this. You weren't expecting a letter like this. But instead, what pops up is a potato wearing glasses. A potato wearing big, like, circular, thin rim glasses. And it begins playing in this very distorted, almost like multiple voices talking over each other, like a deep, heavy bass old man and a young child and a girl sort of giggling through this message all at the same time. Dear byte.//lost_child.exe. I am writing to express the thanks and appreciation expectation of both myself and 404 page not found for your convergent goblin. Working closely Deepway Union Navy officials and engineers here on Fa La 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 12, we have meticulously designed, handcrafted, and digitized Faker Union Navy specificlacking. While this Navy non-contracted license does not include the personal bespoke craftsmanship, often antagonism with fake trash, please be assured that this Union Navy fabrication pattern nonetheless is for you, them. We know you will adapt with the under to and fro fake idol, so please, have to warn home. Should you find yourself desiring the more personal touches other_lost_child.exe, please do not reach into the unopened bag. Instead, calculate Wittershin's perspective. Sincerely, and...
What? Can I inspect the file?
Ding! Psst. You turn and you
What?
look over to the printer, and there's no way it finished printing already. There's no way. These things take time. But it's done. And inside, instead of a nice Veil rifle, you see what looks to be this large pod-like contraption that has barrels in it, but there's nothing in them. You don't see any way to load ammunition. But you can pull up. This file does sort of twitch and corrupt itself, and then you get basic readouts for an autopod and an autonomous assault program. And then your pad goes dark, and you just see H0 R underscore OS V1. Goes dark, and then rising up from the bottom of the pad, of course digitized, you see what looks like those like old marionette like cross planks of wood with the strings that pulls up,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a potato wearing glasses, and it just dances a little.
So much is happening in Shiv's head like 80% of the time anyways. And it is somehow perfectly blank in this moment and moving too fast at the same time. It takes them a moment to like catch up to what's happening, but seeing that name across the screen, a very scary smile takes their face slowly, and it grows. Okay, what the fuck is this? Yeah, no, and so I'm just gonna take whatever the fuck this is.
I will say, for camaraderie, actually, you guys are all within the mech hangar bay working on your mechs right now. So if you would like to discuss amongst each other, or, see across the way that something weird has happened, you guys go for it.
Shiv's in her own world at the moment and would not notice anybody else approaching, as the mind is doing the too blank too fast.
Cool beans. Logan's gonna just sort of appear behind you. What is that?
Shit! Dude, I'm gonna put a bell on you.
Y'all okay over there?
No! Logan's being spooky.
I just walked over. I have a metal leg. I don't know how much louder I can be.
He ain't the sneakiest of people.
I choose not to see that.
I don't think anyone has ever
I didn't like that,
accused
sorry.
him of being sneaky.
No.
What is that?
She's gonna look around. Are we the only people in this hangar right now?
No, there's 24 other
people going
pilots
around.
here who are working on their mechs, who have likewise gotten new license levels and are printing things and hooking them up. But
Yeah.
they're all kind of doing their own thing. Nobody's paying too much mind to you. Everybody's quite busy.
Okay. Yeah, kind of like looking around, being a fucking freak like they usually are. It's Horus tech.
That's not a real thing.
Tell that to the thing right here in front of you.
I'm gonna
be,
look at what
like,
was printed. I'm gonna look at the thing.
Look at it!
Yeah, it's this weird, almost egg-like ovoid pod sort of thing. I mean, it has like a hard point base, but it looks like it's only a little bigger than what would be comfortable for a person to use. It's not huge. It's not like the stub cannon you just installed, or the the chain axe or whatnot. It's relatively small, but it's just this sort of egg-like contraption, very smooth. Really nothing of note on there. In fact, it's so smooth, and it's all one component, but you see barrels. There's a few barrels out front, but you don't see any way. I mean, you even pick it up and sort of look down in the hardpoint access, and there's no, like, chamber or anything for anything to feed into there. I can't imagine how this is functional. Somebody's playing a joke.
I'm gonna have like a welding visor just like up because I've been working on a couple of modifications on mine. Do you like throw it at him or like?
No.
I'm kind of. Oh, maybe it's like a defensive emplacement of some kind.
We're not actually entertaining this, are you? Clearly, what has happened here is, Miss Carrie has been the victim of some sort of terrible practical joke.
Well,
the barrels of this, whatever it is, look like they start glowing. Just for a moment, and then it goes off.
Whoa.
Yeah, you reach out and touch it, and this slow, like, red glow from the inside just very quickly fades and dissipates.
Why would you touch that? What if it was hot?
It wasn't giving off radiant heat. I would have felt the heat before I actually touched it.
Yes, but you went to touch it.
Yeah. You want to touch it? It's weird. It has a weird
No,
texture.
traditionally don't touch things you don't understand.
It has a very weird
Then how are you
texture.
supposed to understand it?
Like, it almost
There
feels
are.
wet.
Many other senses
hold
that
on.
you can...
It's what?
It almost feels wet. Like, you touch it and it feels wet, but you take your finger away and you rub your thumb and finger together, and there's no liquid. It's not wet.
Even as Tavik is saying, you don't touch things, Solitaire is already, like, kind of climbing underneath, kind of looking around.
Right. So you mentioned Logan's been moving it around to look at it. So now he's realizing, oh, it feels wet. Is it pliable at all? Like
No.
squishy?
No.
I don't.
You know, there are likely
Hard.
engineers on station who can handle this with protective gear and significantly more knowledge than any of...
Oh, if this thing was
Starts glowing
radiating or
again.
anything like that, we'd be dead already, or, it'd be too late.
Throw a pair of like thick leather gloves at Tavik.
Havoc will catch them, drop them on the floor, and then go, okay, and walk off.
Good, I won't touch it. I'm gonna put the gloves on.
It's
Handle.
weird. It's weird. It's wet, but like to take your
Weird.
fingers off of it. Yeah, it's
Right?
weird.
Yeah. I mean,
Where does it go?
Not even Tavik can harsh this vibe right now. It's great. No.
All right. So
Where does
The
it
geeks have
go
a new
on
toy.
your mech? Right.
Like, I don't know.
I mean, it's kind of small, right?
I mean-
like
Based off that size,
It's about the size of a large watermelon. It's unwieldy, and it's not as heavy as you'd expect it to be, but it would be really awkward to try to wield, individually. Maybe in like a big, not big, but like a
Like a
hard
cart.
suit. Maybe.
I mean, you could attach that to an arm on that Chumbawamba fairly easy. Actually,
Can you
I
help
mean,
me?
given its size, I mean, there's lots of places you could actually attach that a shoulder mount, a rear mount. You could fit that in there pretty easy.
oh, wait, I got it. Put it right on the ass.
It's
Starts glowing again.
poke it.
Why
Wait,
does
what?
it keep doing?
Shuts off. Or stops glowing, I should say. There's no indication of on or off other than it starts glowing. You poke it in.
Is it
Stops
happening in a
glowing.
pattern
I don't know. Is it?
when it glows and glows and glows? Oh no, is it?
Okay. I'm gonna Solitaire, can you get some readings on that thing or try to?
Yeah, I'll see what I can figure out here. He'll start pulling out tools and scanning for radiation leaks and energy leaks that might be coming off of that thing, and kind of compare it to I'm going to use Kitsune as well, and we're going to see if we can't compare it to any known patterns that are in
Compare what?
this egg-looking thing.
What egg-looking thing?
What?
What do you mean?
What do you mean? It's right here, like right in front of me.
Are you experiencing non-real events again, Solitaire?
If I am, then so is everybody else here.
Not the NHP.
Is she suggesting
gas
this is a
levy. What
mass?
the fuck?
Is this a mass hallucination?
You tell.
Are we
So
dying?
I'm sorry, Kitsune. You can't detect this device.
What device?
2 inches in front of me, right where we're standing, right between all of us here.
No.
Ain't that some shit?
Likewise, your scanner doesn't recognize this. It's not producing any sort of emissions. You can't even get physical dimensions of this thing.
Is there anything that I can hook up to? Like, is there a port?
You can try to attach it to one of the hard points on your mech.
Like
Yeah.
a USB port.
Yeah.
So this is actually
Yeah,
something that you can pick up yourself. You don't need like the big chains and
Yeah.
whatever, cranes. Got the word for crane. You don't need, you can just pick it up.
Yeah, it's really silly looking because they're kind of small, but like they're just gonna heft it as best they're a noodle of a
Yeah.
person, so it's a struggle.
You pick it up and you just hear this.
Okay.
None of the rest of you heard anything, and you don't feel it. It's not vibrating. You just hear this sort of quickly oscillating hum in your head. None of the rest of you got that.
Wait, yeah, I think Chip hums as well as she walks. She's gonna go to Buddy and is gonna like look around the frame and it's like, well, where the fuck? I'm not gonna put it on the ass. That's stupid. It's like muttering to themselves.
Where would you like it to
Probably
go?
needs. I think back between the shoulder blades,
Okay.
essentially. So I'll find
And-
one of those like stair steps and get up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's hard points all over these things. I mean, GMS is the Fisher Price of mech technology. There's hard points everywhere, and if there's not, you can easily like rescale and reprint just individual portions of specific parts of this mech for those hard points. So you get to the back and you're looking at it, and you're looking at the dimensions of this hard point, and you're looking at the various connectors, and you're like, I could probably make something to adapt this, and you turn it back around, and it looks like it should fit perfectly, really.
Well, don't mind if I do.
All
I
right.
see no problems.
Yeah. You go over, grab some tools, just connects very easily. There's no wires or anything to hook anything up. Just strange. Again, like this looks ornamental. It's all one solid piece. There's no way to put ammunition in it. There's no wires or anything to connect to your operating system. But you got this weird egg thing with 5 barrels in it sticking off the back of your Everest. Your Chomalungma.
Kind of pretty. Okay. If it's attached, but it doesn't seem like it's attached yet, I guess I'll go in my mech and I'll boot up Buddy and see if it recognizes. So the NHP didn't recognize it as a device. I'm going to see if Buddy recognizes it now that it's attached.
So to clarify, you do not have an NHP in Buddy. You're just talking about your own like basic operating system. for your
Computer,
free.
yeah.
Yeah, you boot up Buddy. You boot up your mech. Down in the corner of one of your readouts, just very quickly, you're not even sure it happened, but very quickly, you could have sworn there was a potato wearing glasses over there, like a little Clippy. But you just
Oh no.
okay.
That's your new NHP, the potato.
A potato with the weirdest voice.
But yeah, it starts scrolling through the black with white font operating system readout of all of your pieces of equipment, and then at the very end, it does acknowledge autopod successfully installed, autonomous assault program loaded. .inst.
INST. Okay. Install. Okay. We'll pop open, buddy, and like lean out. It's a dangerous lean too. She does this all the time. It's like holding on like a pirate on a rope. We'll lean out. It's an autopod? It says it's a defense thing.
Shit, I've never heard of it.
No, not familiar with that at all.
Weird. Maybe I should have somebody throw some shit at my mech. When's the next like training flight?
Well, unfortunately, the scrapyard is heavily damaged at the moment. But if you wanted, I mean, you can request leave at any time, and as long as you burn far enough out, and you know, keep an operational vector away from projectiles moving towards the station, you can go out. You can go out and train. And there are parts of the scrapyard that, if you really need to, and you know the right people to talk to, you know, you could go over and play around with things. Yeah.
Wait. Hey, Ethan, you want to get back at me for saying all that shit about your haircut the other day?
Yeah, that was mean. Give me a second.
I'm telling you, if you shaved it a little shorter on the sides, it would work better for your head shape.
Yeah, you're gonna regret
that part. That was the mean part.
Ugh.
He's very touchy about it.
Oh.
I talked about his beard too, and he got real upset.
Oh, well, you shouldn't have brought up the beard. The haircut, I agree with you with. The beard, no. Beard you can keep. You know.
And I'm gonna get into Blade 2 power up, and I'm just gonna stroll over and then kind of like open up like the chest piece and everything like that, and lean out and just like, so you don't mind rebuilding Buddy from scratch, right?
Those are
Oh,
some
Lord.
big words. Big words, bud.
So you lean back into your system because I imagine you're having this conversation and looking back at your screen, then having this conversation and looking back at your screen. And when you say that, and when he says that, and you look back at your screen, you see over on one of your monitors what looks like a vague outline of Blade 2 with its power core, cooling rods, and ammunition highlighted. And a code that just says eject.h0r_os.inst.
I've essentially been given a map of critical hits. Awesome.
You're playing Fallout.
Yeah. How exciting.
We got fast mode, baby.
So wait, Jack, what would, as Haley, because I don't know exactly what the consequences of this would be, if I decided to let it do what it wants to do with, say, his ammunition, which seems like the least scary of the options I was given, would that cause a problem here in the hangar?
Potentially.
Okay.
I mean, you don't know exactly what this does, but generally, rule of thumb is don't make your mechs do things inside the station.
That's fair.
Especially if you don't know what it does.
Ethan, because you're probably one of the closest in like height and closeness, you hear Shiv make a very excited like squeak noise. That's concerning. Okay, let's go. Let's go now. Do you guys want to come too? Does Havoc want to come? He's gonna complain if he doesn't come either way, so.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. We
Okay.
see
I'm curious.
the big mechanical loading pads load each of your mechs into the launch tubes. 5 of you shoot out into space, burn away from the station. And that's where we're going to cut it for tonight.
Oh boy.
Re.
We will pick up next week with the, unless there's anything pressing that you guys want to do, with the briefing for your next mission. But with this known now, and we can flash back to it if we would like to, but with you guys knowing now that you have had some time to train with these new pieces, and you know, especially Haley now, Siobhan now, actually knows what these things do. I'm not going to send you into your next mission not knowing how your stuff works. So you spend the time to get this working. And we may flash back at some point to the surprises that is. But for now, we just see our 5 Lancers burning away from the station as it fades to black. And that is our episode of the Starcrier Conflict. Next week we will be back for the beginning of our second mission. I have some fun things planned. I was gonna try to squeeze in the debriefing, but I think it will be better to just have that reserved for the beginning of next week so we can take our time on it. You guys can ask questions, you guys can interact with each other, and then we can head out on the mission. But today's episode, guys, I'm not even gonna wait for the after show. How you guys doing? Haley.
Great. New toys.
Yeah.
New toys.
I
This
had
one
to make
was,
sure.
Dang.
I had to make sure to give Haley some wacky good fun after breaking her heart. I could not look at your camera for a bit there. I could not look at your camera. We will talk about this in an after show. Because I don't. There's things to talk about. So, if you would like to see that and help support the show, head over to our Ko-Fi. That's the best way to help with the production value and the production, just the quality of the production for this, the Starcrier Conflict, our main show here on RPGs Uncovered, and for the foreseeable future. This is a long format, full series adventure. We are just starting off, and things are really just about to kick off. If you remember the end of the last mission and the Oracle and the Vision and some of the things that the Commodore said, we'll see what of that and what more may come in our second mission. But for now, our characters have had some time to vaguely process some of the things that have gone on, have had some time to have a normal life, as much as normal as you can as a Lancer, especially one out in a far station in a cosmopolitan life. And you guys have your new license levels, which I am looking forward to seeing in action. We got some real fun new toys, and I really can't wait until license level 2 when you unlock some frames, presumably. So stay tuned for that. If you want to hear more of our ramblings, more behind-the-scenes kind of stuff, get access to some notes, head over to our Ko-Fi. I'll just go ahead and throw that support link in there. But with that, let me pass it back to these wonderful people to let us know what they have going on throughout the week when they are not here. So, Solitaire, August, Sean, when you are not teaching a non-human paracausal entity what emotions and life and dreams are, what are you doing?
Yeah. So, yeah. Hi, I'm Sean, also known as Rise. Here I play August Walker, Solitaire. Otherwise, you can find me on Blue Sky under Rise, if I'm talking about TTRPG stuff, it'll be there. I'm not the most talkative person. Otherwise, you can find me on Instagram and Threads as Raven Black Photography, where I post a different photography, whether it's cosplay stuff, nature stuff, landscapes, whatever the case may be. Otherwise, let's see, what do I even have going? What is today's date even? I have no idea what's going on. I've been so busy lately.
26.
Um,
26.
Starcrier.
yeah, let's see. Okay, looks like I don't have anything else for the rest of the month. Back here next Sunday. And then on the 6th of June, be back over on Nerds with Dice, playing some Iron Sworn. which we've unfortunately missed a few episodes because life is life and it sucks. But we'll be back there on the 6th, and then obviously every Sunday here. And then back on Lost Caravan on June 11th for some Pathfinder. I don't know anything about that game yet because we haven't even had a session 0 yet. We'll figure it out eventually. And then sometime next month, we'll also be back over on Singularity RPG with Aliens, our Heart of Darkness campaign for the Alien RPG, which is super fun, great, scary, lots of trauma. We love it. That's all I've got going on. Thankfully.
All right.
Hey, howdy, bye.
Yeah, Haley, when
Happy
when you're not crying.
Woo! No, I love it. Good stories make me cry. I cry at a lot of things. It's great.
Finally gotta cry.
No, yeah.
I don't
No,
know
today
if I
was
managed in
so
other
good.
series, but I'm very proud of this cry.
This is good. This is good. It felt good. Yeah, no, hey, howdy, bye. I am Haley. You can find me at Haley Ann on all the things. Just screaming into the void about TTRPGs. I'm very excited about it. But yeah, I'm just doing stuff. Not a whole lot of like fancy, crazy stuff like some people. But I'm doing things.
So speaking of some people, Q, when you're not playing the corporate game like a pro, what are you doing?
Seriously.
What's up? Hi, I'm Q. You know who I was playing. I'm not gonna say that again. You can find me pretty much everywhere at Inc. That's midnight_INQ. Q is my name. I'm sure you get it. Save a horse, ride a cowboy. I have a lot of games that I'm in. It's fine. Let's see. Alternating Tuesdays. You can find me either on Entropy Emporium for They Call Us Villains, or Live from the Apocalypse for Nephilim Tenebris. Thursdays, every other Thursday, I'm also on Live from the Apocalypse for their Redacted series. It's a psychological thriller horror that JD is running. It's really cool. We're only 3 days in this bitch, and it's wild. Anyway, a season of Secrets and Shadows, a 3rd season, in fact, will be happening on Friday, and then Saturday is Class Reunion, which is a D&D isekai. Of course, I'm here, and sometimes you may find me playing Magic. Today doing that was good, pretty dope. I like doing that, and I've got more in the works that
You
I
just
can
cut out for
speak.
all of that.
Are you kidding me?
It's like for the magic bit, you cut out for
Magic,
the magic
yeah.
bit.
I'm also playing Magic online sometimes too, so you can find me doing that, I guess. I've got other projects, but I can't talk about them yet. So, stupid.
It's that time of the night, apparently. Yeah, all right. Andrew, Ajax, Athen. Some alliteration going on there.
A's.
Yeah, I am looking forward to you hacking through some things, but today we were hacking through some social barriers, which has been fun. Yeah, not as much Athen today. We got to work in more Athen next episode. So, in preparation for you hacking things to bits with this chain axe, what do you got coming up before then?
Yeah, so hi, I'm Andrew. I'm that gamer Ajax on all the socials. I primarily do threads these days just because it's where I've been having the most fun. I am getting back into content creation on my YouTube and TikTok channels. Shorts are more fun little meme bits, but I do a lot of educational content too. Actually, I have an upcoming video that is going to be talking about tips to run a one-shot. I know plenty of game masters that the eternal curse is that, my one-shot took 3 months to complete kind of situation. And I'm going to teach you how to not do that. So look forward to that one coming out on my YouTube channel. That's about all I got, honestly. I always feel so bad going after Q because Q does all the things. I'm just like, I'm just a little guy.
Don't. You do things.
You do a lot of
I'm
things.
doing
Yeah.
too much. I'm
Yeah,
doing too much. You're doing
Well,
great.
the thing is, I do a lot of games. It's just that they're like all private, like home games and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
I'm currently
also,
playing
I
like
don't-
5 different systems. So
Mhm.
Yeah, and I don't talk about the home games, so I get it.
All right. And yeah, Tavik, our silver spoon, as I scroll up through chat and I see our new silver spoon emote. Yeah. Tavik, Lion. Let's see. When you are not denying the reality right in front of you.
I mean, I think we all do that all the time.
Yeah.
That's existence. That's just day to day.
Yeah. What you got going
Hey,
on?
all. It's Drake Lionheart. Most people call me Lion. I use they, he pronouns, and I am the creative director for Tales from the Table Studios. Something that started as a charity event that has grown into an actual play studio with an amazing community of storytellers, players, world builders, game designers, and more. You can find me here as John Tavik Creighton Vasier Harrison IV almost every Sunday. You can find me on most socials at Lion Knight 42 and at TFTT Studios, pretty much everywhere. Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, all the stuff. And I don't have anything to announce tonight, but I will next week, which is really exciting. What I can say is, did you know that the West Edmonton Mall is the largest mall in North America? It's ridiculous. They have their own police force. There's a reason that I'm mentioning all of this and that I know this now. I didn't a couple of weeks ago, and you'll have to check back in next week to find out why.
Oh, the
That's me.
plethora of completely unrelated and useless information you accumulate as a GM. Yep. Excellent. All right. Well, that is our amazing cast. Thank you so much for an incredible episode today. A lot of great stuff. Really looking forward to playing around with these new toys. Oh yeah, myself. Hey, I'm Jack. I do the GM thing. This is my main show. This is what I put, 90% of my attention span into, and my sanity. Actually, probably more like 110% of my sanity, which isn't that much to begin with. If Mr. Potato Head today was any indication. Speaking of which, because I took the time to write them out and make them fun and fanciful, I've already plugged it. I won't plug it again, but I will be uploading the thank you notes and Shiv's calls from her dad to our Ko-Fi. And there were some messages in there that did not get played, and they were not just tugging on heartstrings. There's some sneaky stuff in there too. Stuff I'm sure we're gonna work in.
I was reading them. There's a point, if you watch back in the VOD, there is a point which you will see me read them and I get a little teary-eyed. And then at some point you see me rapidly message in the fucking Discord and Jack make a really sneaky face. And
I was
it's
loving it.
beautiful. It was so good.
So look forward to that. I'm going to try to get... Those are easy to upload, easy to post, so I'm looking forward to getting those up after we have a little bit of a talk, if we can manage that tonight. Other than this, you can find me this Tuesday and every other Tuesday over on the Veil of the Void channel. That reminds me, I need to say hello to those amazing folks, but you can find me over there on their Twitch page, just twitch.tv/Veil of the Void with underscores between those words. It's easier to say it that way. Where we are playing a really fun game of Veil of the Void, the Butterfly Effect, in which I'm turning our sort of Monster of the Week style just run through and beat up monsters, attempting to turn that into a civilization builder, because I'm that kind of player. No, it's a lot of fun. The GM is fantastic, and there's the whole cast over there is amazing. Other than that, I am also every Thursday right back here on this channel doing From Behind These Eyes, our 4-player playing it like a module Baldur's Gate 3 run. We are at the very end of the game. We just beat up Gortash, which was anticlimactic, as I'm sure some of you know. And we are looking forward to doing the same with Oren, and then making our way to punching a giant brain. So that's going to be fun. So if you like Baldur's Gate 3 and you want to see it played without any companions and with myself and 3 other amazing creatives and actors and whatnot, head over there. We got a great cast over there, and I'm playing a Gith Zerai, which is really fun, considering all the Gith Yankee in that game. You can go and watch those videos over on YouTube. Of course, if you're watching this live, if you're watching this on YouTube, hello from the past. Thank you for watching. Go check out all our previous content. We got demo play miniseries, we got cool creator interviews, and we have video games up there. We have Baldur's Gate 3. A while ago, I did an XCOM 3 run. So if you like video games, you can check that out too. That is all I have, except I would like to give a shout out to our good friend Zach Walsh, who did the opening narration and theme music for the Starcrier Conflict. An amazing score. I absolutely love it, and the intro just sort of appeared in my mind listening to it. So if I really enjoy the intro, if you enjoy the intro, it's because Zach made just an incredibly evocative piece of music, and it is fantastic. So go check him out. He does interviews of his own over on his Schedule for Launch podcast, and he's getting into voice acting. So if you liked hearing him talk about edicts screamed from beyond the stars, you can approach him for other voice acting stuff. Let's see. Another shout out to Galen Peugeot, who did our amazing character illustrations. They're up on the screen now. I admire them and gush over them every time I bring up any amount of Starcrier, because they are just beautiful, beautiful people. And I am so glad to have them available for our show, and all the details and all the little character personalization bits on them. It is so good. So Galen does a lot of great illustrations in the indie TTRPG sphere. He does his own games. He has worked with a number of great indie game designers for things like Substratum Protocol and the ones with the dwarves on the asteroids. Stoneburner. Yeah, both of which have been featured as a Whip Workshop interview. So if you want to go check those out, I talk with RP over there, and Galen himself is on the Stoneburner one, I believe. So go give those a listen. Go support his art. He is a fantastic artist. And finally, one last shout out to our friends over at Veil the Void, because this show is sponsored in part by Veil the Void, and I've loved Veil the Void since I first found them. Friends of the channel, I've become good friends with the creator and even co-creator over on that channel long before they started sponsoring the Starcrier Conflict, and I would not have them as a sponsor for the Starcrier Conflict if I didn't 100% believe in the product they put out and how good it is, and their creativity and their integrity as people and creatives. So some fantastic stuff over there. Let me tell you a little bit about them. The Starcrier Conflict is brought to you in part by Veil the Void Reforged. Veil the Void Reforged is a science fantasy indie TTRPG featuring robust character creation, cinematic gameplay, and a multitude of GM storytelling tools, which, with even more having come out since the Reforged book, with a number of many free supplements and some more great stuff coming out. Prophecies dropped. I think they got some even more stuff. They're constantly working on more things, many of them free, and a lot of great community-driven content. Some of which, some fantastic stuff by our own Andrew here with Ajax's Emporium, right?
It's the Ajax's Amazing Armory.
Amazing Armory, that's what it is. I
like
the alliteration. Yeah. That's what it is. So learn more and pick up your own copy of Veil the Void Reforged today by visiting sdgcreatives.com, and you can use coupon code RPG over there for 10% off your order. So go pick up the book, whether it's in PDF or they have international print and ship I know Trevor spent a lot of time making sure that it was properly calibrated so that whatever printer it goes to, wherever in the world, it's getting amazing paper quality and it's getting the beautiful, vibrant artwork that is in that book. So go check it out. There's a free version that even has some amazing artwork in that. So it is a wonderful book. Go give them a look and go give the game a try. And if you want to learn it, it's Season 1 of RPGs Uncovered, demo play miniseries and tutorials. So go check that out. All right, I think that's enough of my rambling on. Let's close this out with our outro sequence, and we'll see about doing an after show. But when you come back from learning how all your new toys work, even the ones that probably shouldn't exist, it's nice to get yourself all fueled up after stocking up your mechs with a nice assortment of delicious heart tomatoes. Good night and happy time zone. Folks, we'll catch you next week.